S is for the S's that have disappeared. H is for house, it's changed, my dear. I is for that have disappeared. Lots of changes to our edibles. F is freaky cause Mandela effects are all the buzz. And T is for time that's running fast. Y is for your memories, hope they last. If it's not a fun day, won't you join me Shifty Sunday? Shifty Sunday for Emmys. Shifty Sunday, if you please.
Hebrew77 here, and welcome everybody to Shifty Sunday. We've got Sagittarially Speaking and Armor Up on the program here tonight, and got a few things to talk about. But first, let's get into it. How's everybody doing tonight, man?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Pretty good, man. Keeping up with things. How about you, Armor Up?
Doing good, blessed as always. Can't complain.
I'm wrestling with my broken toe, but as far as I know, the broken toe is doing good. It's less purple than it was the last time we spoke, and I can get around now. I'm borrowing someone's cane and had to adjust the height to it, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good and ready and roaring and ready to go with this program here tonight. I see we got Preliminal in here and Mr. Jocko. Hey, how you guys doing?
Yep, good to see Prelim and Jocko in the chat. They're the early birds this evening. Hopefully, did you guys get to hear the theme song? Everything working good on that end? Hopefully everything's working. Let us know in the chat. Hey, there's Lorraine. She says you're medicated. We try to keep him that way, especially during showtime.
Yeah, for real. I think Preliminal called in on Dan's show last night. I think if I'm not mistaken, was that? Am I correct?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing him with someone else.
Yeah. Unless I'm confused, who knows? I've been known to be confused often. But it's all right because I know it going in, so I don't ever expect much from myself. I know me. Nah, okay. Prelim didn't call in. I didn't think so. Variable called in, Lorraine. That's correct. Variable was one of her callers.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. It was the variable thing, preliminal variable. Yeah, never mind. You know what I'm saying.
We'll give you the rhyme thing. Pretty close.
Hey, I'm happy.
It was a good show. I had a lot of fun. Really fun starting out. It was hilarious beginning and a serious end. So that's the way I like to do it. But we had a blast in the beginning. That was funny.
I noticed
that was funny. Aaron was really doing a great job of giving Dan a hard time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I lost my connection. Everything went south. And by the time I rebooted and came back, we had a caller. I didn't even know who it was for a while. I had no clue who was talking, but I came back and he was just staring down. So I just jumped right in, me. Like, oh, yeah, we can go with this flow. Yeah, that was good. Good time. Good caller.
Yeah, you guys got him from both ends. That's funny.
Because we do it because we love him. Believe me, he's good at that himself. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah, he calls himself the king of trolls.
We used to always say, hey, if you want to know about Satan, go to Armor Up's channel. I'd be like, brother. He goes, what? Well, you do tell him about Satan and stuff. But yeah, he's a funny guy. I love Dan. He's a character. I hope he got his air conditioner fixed. I ain't talked to him today, so hopefully he got his air conditioner fixed. And yeah, everyone pray for his friend. He mentioned it on the end of the show last night. So yeah.
Oh, I
And you're
missed I missed the end of the show. What's going on?
A friend of his had a pretty bad brain injury. He was set to be married, and his woman's sticking with him tough through and through. So just needs our prayers. I can't think of his name offhand, but that don't never matter. That's why I can never remember him, because the Father knows. We just pray for Dan's friend who has the brain injury, and Father knows what we're talking about. But yeah, keep him in your prayers. Miracle will happen there. It'll be awesome. It's gonna be awesome.
Sure enough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't make it to the end of the show either. I fell asleep. I had a real productive day yesterday. It's like one of those things where once you get started on progress, you don't want to stop, so you just keep going. So I did one of those type of things, and by the time Dan's show came on, I was pretty much exhausted. I was ready to sit down and relax and enjoy the show, and then I don't know, about an hour and 20 minutes into it, I nodded out.
Oh man, you have to go back and at least listen to the end. The last caller, it was awesome.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
Definitely. Like I said, we started out funny and having a good time, but we ended on a serious note. It was the end of the show was awesome. Not that the whole show wasn't good, but man, the last caller was spot on. Said some very interesting stuff that, really resonated with me.
No, I'll tell you, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. But there's two unknown facts little known facts that I didn't know about Dan that I found out that I thought was kind of interesting. The first one was I had no idea that he was an interior decorator. The second one was I had no idea he was abducted by aliens when he was younger. And when I first heard the story, I was trying to give him shit about being abducted. I said, "Oh man, they didn't probe him, did they?" And then someone, I think it was Jenny Purdy, said, "I hope not, because he was little. He was very little when he got abducted." I said, "Oops." I put my foot in my mouth on that one, but that's something I didn't know about him, that he was abducted, and that was a very good story turned out to be. And then the second thing was that he kind of dabbles in interior decorating, something I didn't know about him. Like, yeah, it's the old classic story about the tough car guy who interior decorates on the side. So there you go.
Yeah, and actually, just for the record, he don't know for sure if he was abducted because he don't want to go there. But he does know that he's seen a UFO and drove towards it and lost time. But,
you when we did that show, I think it was last Sunday, he was watching, we were talking about aliens, and he said, "Oh man, don't you be talking about aliens now." And I was joking around with him. I said, "What, are you afraid of getting probed?" And I think he's the one that brought up the probing. He said, "I ain't getting probed." I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll drop the alien talk then." And we started getting silly with it and stuff like that. But that's before I had no idea he had that story. And we like to joke around a lot on the program and stuff like that, but that's something that is very serious to him, obviously, and I didn't realize at the time that had happened to him. So my bad.
oh, no biggie. Dan can take it. He's a big boy. Believe me. I know he can take it. I've seen him take lots. Believe me. It ain't easy being cheesy.
Did you
People don't know about. So yeah, you better have a thick skin if you want to do what we do on YouTube, especially if you're going to talk about the Lord and Mandela effects. It's like, yeah, you better have a crocodile skin. You better be part of it.
Let me ask you this. There was a comment I had made when he was talking about being an interior decorator and getting in touch with his feminine side and all that. I made a comment to you. I said, Better watch it, Armor Up. You better not say I love you to him too often. He might take it serious.
I didn't even see that one. It's hard to keep up with the comments in Dan's channel, man. I try, but wow, it's rough. I know I would a lot, but hey, I try. I ain't good at multitasking anyway. If I start talking or if I'm presenting something, forget about chat. I can't pay attention to both. So I ain't good at multitasking when it comes to chat. But I try to keep up with it as best I can because I love the chat people. I was always in the chat. You know what I mean? I spent more time on that side of the chat screen than this side. So yeah, I love the chat people. I always try to interact.
Yeah, when I left the comment, I'm like, oh man, that probably wasn't all that funny. It went right over him. But I guess you were busy doing something, so.
Yeah, and Dan knows I love him. We're both secure enough in our masculinity, although I wonder about his with his foo-foo coffee, but no. I have no problem saying I love Dan. I love male and female. That's the way Jesus did it. I guess that's what I got to do. I ain't got to understand it. I just got to do it. I'm trying. Try real hard to love people. Really trying.
When he was talking about his coffee, the other guy said, yeah, I like a lot of cream and sugar in my coffee. I was halfway expecting you to tell everyone how you drink your coffee, but you never did. So, well.
They know. They know.
Anyway, I guess Sagittarically speaking, it's been quiet for a while. I know you've got something to present for us here tonight, buddy. You want to go ahead and present that now, or you want to save it for later?
Well, I mean, I was gonna mention that the other thing about Dan last night was it was nice getting to see the pictures he shared with his with his house, the foyer and the it was just nice to get an inside look. It's kind of like an episode of Mandela MTV Cribs, you know?
Yeah.
Mandela Cribs, I was just going to say that. At the starting series. Mandela Cribs. Oh, you don't want to see my crib. It'd be a good series, though.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah. If I did an episode of Cribs, you'd see all the cracked walls, and here's a part of my wall that looks like Africa right here. Look at this big old cracked wall.
You got the Africa crack. I remember that. You do. You do got the Africa crack.
Yeah.
Use it for residue for when Africa changes.
That's right. Yeah. I have that, and I have all the drain flies on the walls. Those almost form a pattern, so you can kind of say I know a little bit about interior decorating. You know, when I smash them, they leave a big old black spot on the wall. So, just saying, you know.
You're more like an abstract decorator, I would say.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got to give Dan kudos. His house did look awesome.
Gosh, man, I know.
Pennsylvania, see what he can do with this place. Hook a brother up.
What in the world's going on? Now I'm getting all these pop-ups. Sorry about that. Let me ask you this real quick. Now we got 10 watchers in here. Would you like to give the room a shout-out real quick, sir?
I could probably handle that. It's much easier over here. We got Pre-La Minimal, first one in the house with a wrench. Jocko R, following closely behind, sporting his wrench. Lorraine Lamore, thank you so much as always for that awesome theme song. Data Junkie in the house. Always great to see Data. And Eddie Von Keen just popped in, but he's not here. So do not shout him out.
All right. Excellent.
Data Junkie says it's revealing that his grand hall did kind of look like a bordello. That's amusing. Robin Keneally just popped in with a wrench. Much love, Robin. Always great to see Robin in the house. Now I think we got everybody.
You know,
I thought the hall kind of looked more like the entrance to a Masonic lodge, personally, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was wondering where the pillars were.
I thought it kind of looked like one of those fancy, like you see on what's that movie? Oh, the most famous movie of them all. It's like 3 hours long. Y'all come on in here. We're gonna have a tea party pretty soon, y'all. Um,
Oh,
what's
you
that?
mean? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it now.
Gone with the Wind.
Oh
That's
yeah,
it.
Gone with the Wind.
I thought it looked like a fancy, especially the chandelier. It's like, oh
Oh,
man, you got
wait,
chandelier and the whole works.
I know what we can call the show instead of Mandela Cribs. We can call it Lifestyles of the Rich and Affected.
There you go. Do you
Can
remember
you do you do a what was the guy's name that hosted that show, The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? I forget his name.
Oh, I can't think of his
Robin
name.
Leach?
Yeah, do you do a good Robin Leach there, Hebrew?
If I can, champagne dreams and caviar wishes. I don't know. No, I can't do his voice.
Oh, okay.
No, that would
Just
be a no.
curious.
That was his catchphrase. Was like champagne dreams and caviar wishes, wasn't it?
I have no clue. Never
Something.
watched the show.
Do you remember that song? I think it was a country song. It was called "Lifestyles of the Something and Shameless."
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
It was like a spoof of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, but I think they called it Lifestyles of the Poor and Shameless.
No, I never heard that one either. Yes, Lorraine says it was champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking it was. I wasn't too sure, but
I don't like champagne and I ain't eating no fish eggs, so glad I ain't rich.
I get the
Ooh,
champagne.
reality boat. That would be a good title too. Reality boat. The reality boat is sailing to Orion.
Reality boat, yeah. Reality boat. I drink champagne like on New Year's Eve, but it's like the cheap like $3 bottle stuff, like the what do they call that, spumante?
Aste Spumante.
Yeah.
I like me some Asti Spumante with like on New Year's Eve or whatever.
Yeah.
I always try to grab a bottle of that.
Yep, that's about the only time I do champagne. That's because they make me on New Year's. But yeah, that stuff's nasty. Well, there you go. See, Lorraine's awesome. The shift boat. Soon we'll be making another run. The shift.
Can you see Dan in the captain's uniform?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
When you said that, I just got a picture in my head of, remember those commercials, Captain Obvious commercials, and he's got the cap.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. Yeah, they still got them commercials.
Do they? That's who I was picturing. I was picturing him, except he wouldn't have a captain's hat, though. He'd have the bandana pirates sort of look to him, though. It'd be more like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, Lorraine's awesome. She's rating the song in the chat. It's funny. Eddie Von Keen says Unfantasy Island.
Unfantasy Island? Oh, yeah.
Third party's here.
Yeah, everybody on the boat is just trying to get back to their reality. They're not trying to look for a fantasy. They're trying to get back to reality.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be a good one. Good title. So there's something I was going to tell you guys about that kind of grinds my gears a little bit. And
Because this is the segment we call "What Really Grinds Hebrews Gears."
We need to start the weekly "What Grinds My Gears" with Hebrew. I think that should be a good segment since we each got a segment
Yeah,
now. We didn't
yeah,
say
that's
about
definitely Hebrews segment. What
Hebrew.
grinds his gears? And we should hear some gears grinding every time you're getting ready to
oh
go into
gosh,
it.
I don't know if that would be great. Is like,
Oh, I think it'd be good. I think it's we're gonna have to we're gonna have to get her done. I'll get a picture of some gears grinding.
that's great. I like that. Yeah, you should do that, man. Just like make a picture of gears and grinding, play a video of gears grinding. I don't know.
Maybe like a little GIF where it just keeps showing them turning. You know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
The gears on the screen keep on turning. Um, no, but honestly, man. Okay. What
So
grind?
Hebrew, let me ask you, what really grinds your gears?
Okay. What grinds my gears is. Do you remember how we were talking about? I think it was a Monday Coffee Talk one week. We were talking about the joggers and the walkers and stuff like that that purposely walk out in the middle of the street just so you'd have to go around them in your car.
The ones that are in the wrong lane, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I've got a new set of idiots that and these ones people might kind of disagree with me on this one, but it's these people who stand in the road and they're standing there collecting money and they have permission to stand in the road and collect money. And I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I get sick of these beggars, these people that collect money, but I'm saying the way that they go about it is when they stand there and they stand in the middle of the road and they stand in the middle, straight dab in the middle of the freaking turn lane where you're trying to get your car over in the turn lane. Is it too much to ask if you're going to stand there and collect money to get over a little bit or maybe move up straight to the top of the oh here let me put that up there the top of the turn lane so a car can actually get up into the turn lane and maybe you could stand over to the side instead of me almost having to run someone over. Yeah, aggressive panhandling. That's exactly right. That's what I'm talking about. It's like I'm not against people collecting money for whatever cause they got to collect it for, but do you have to stand out in the middle of the road where people could possibly hit you? I mean, am I alone in this?
Well,
Well,
honestly, I haven't experienced it lately, or I mean, I have seen it before, but it's not something that is actively um, bothering me because it's not. I'm not experiencing it, but I can see how it would, and it does seem like it's gotten progressively worse over the years. It seems because I've noticed that when it does, it seems like it's a trend that's kind of trending in a getting worse and worse than it ever has been before.
And I'll tell you what happened to me the other day. We call them the Bucket Brigade. That's the name we've given them. And the other day, I had it happen twice. The other day and the day after that, the next day. But I went around them. I said, okay, well, there they are. They're standing by the stop sign, which is fine. I don't mind if you're standing on the corner by the stop sign. And I went around and got on the road, went around to get on the road to go, to move forward. And as I went around and started to go forward, there was some idiot standing in the middle of the road. He had his headset on and he was standing out there, and it was him and his wife and a baby, and they were standing right in the middle of this like busy ass road. I'm not talking about like some country back road somewhere where it's like you kind of halfway expect it. It's like, okay, you're going to have people walking because there's no sidewalks. There was a sidewalk right there on the left hand side. There was a freaking sidewalk there, and this guy just standing there like he's squaring off against cars or something. And I almost rolled down my window and said, "You freaking idiot. Get out of the middle of the road. What is your problem?" But I didn't do it. I didn't do it because, God's love and all that. But I swear to you, I almost did it. And I know we're supposed to hold ourselves back and stuff like that. But when you see something like that, it's really hard to do. You know what I mean? It's really hard to not let that get to you. So what do you think about that, Armor Up?
Well, I definitely know what you're saying because I see them all the time driving around where I drive around. At least the ones that I see, at least, are smart enough. If we're sitting at a red light, yeah, they're walking right between the cars. They're right out in the street. They're walking. But usually, by the time the light goes green, they're smart enough to get back over to the medium. That's the ones that are the homeless ones. Now, the ones like you're talking about, I believe, that have the Windex and the spray bottles and going to wash your window for a quick buck, they're more the younger ones, at least where I drive around. They're more the younger kids. And yeah, they're a little crazy. They just walk right out in the traffic. They don't care if the light goes green. And I know what you mean. It's a little hard not to say anything to them, but yeah, I don't know. I always look, when I look at him, I'm like, hey, at least the boy's trying to earn $1. He ain't just begging $1. Yeah, he's possibly being a pain in the butt and sort of, but hey, at least the boy is trying to earn some money. He ain't just out there, That's what I tell myself when I see him. Sort of helps. So I don't know.
But I'm not even talking about like panhandlers even. I'm talking about like organizers like the Lions Club and this and that. I'm talking about people that seem like they should have a little bit more common sense and seem like they got permits to stand there and stuff. They're wearing the orange jackets. Those are the ones that I'm talking about. Like I can understand like you're talking about like window washers and whatnot. Like they don't really know. Like, you know what I mean? Some of them don't really know any better. Or some of them are just plain old crazy, like you said. But ones I'm talking about is like the freaking, like I said, Lions Club and this and that, trying to make some money, for their organization or whatever. Why would you stand square dab in the middle of the freaking not even the intersection, but I'm talking about right square dab in the middle of the road? And there was one even standing right square dab in the middle of the turn lane. Like, hello, I have to get in the turn lane. Could you please at least stand at the very end of like in the middle, like in the intersection? You know what I'm saying now?
Oh yeah. Now that I haven't come across as far as those kind of people, at least down there. You know what I mean? Now, I live in the country, so yeah, when we see those kind of people collecting cash for them kind of places, there isn't really a busy road. So I can't relate to that too much. But yeah, down there, I never really see the organizers collecting cash. Yeah, they usually just stand in front of their businesses and
Yeah.
anywhere you walk in and out of, they're there collecting the money. So yeah, I haven't had no problem with those kind of people standing in the streets.
Okay. Well, I guess it just happens in my area, but yeah, we call them the Bucket Brigade, and that's really all I have to say about that subject. About this, that would end the what grinds my gears segment. And Rain on the Plains is here. All right, Rain on the Plains. Nice.
Yeah, right on the plane, and also Davey snuck in on us. So shout out to Dave. Welcome.
Yeah, shout out to Rain on the Plane. I've noticed she mentioned to me yesterday in chat how she thought I had a cool name, so I subscribed to her channel yesterday. She actually puts out videos every so often, about once a month or so. I haven't had a chance to watch them yet, but I did notice she had a few videos on her channel.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
She's been putting out videos for quite a while. She's been in the community quite a long time.
Oh yeah, I remember when we used to have our what do you call it, our hangouts. We used to have hangouts, and she was a part of that hangout group for a long time, and we used to chat back and forth. But that's been quite a long time ago. But I've seen quite a few of her videos, and I think I subbed. If I haven't subbed, I apologize. I will sub to you. Just saying. But that really does it for the what grinds my gear segment. So I guess I could take this down now. And
Well, one thing I want to mention, Data Junkie mentions, worrying about giving money to possibly buy their fix that might end them. The best way around that is go buy food coupons, like Burger King, McDonald's, whatever. I mean, you can buy coupons for anywhere. And instead of handing out money, hand out food in the form of a food type coupon that they can turn in.
yeah,
Whatever. I mean, if you're worried about handing out money, which makes sense, I understand. Like I said, I see this all the time. Believe me, it breaks my heart driving around, really. But if you're worried about money, don't give them money. Hand out a food coupon or buy a blanket or, like Lorraine said, a gift card or, a pillow. There's lots of things you can give people. It'll separate the real ones from the fake ones real quick. You start handing out a pillow, you'll know if they're really sleeping on that sidewalk or going home to bed. I guarantee you. Hand out a blanket, you'll know if they're real or fake.
yeah.
People worry so much about the fake ones, and the fake ones are out there. But if we can't, there's real ones out there too. So if you want to get around it, that's some simple ways to get around it. Don't give them cash. Give them a gift card to Walmart or free burger at Burger King or whatever. There's lots of things you can do other than give cash that the ones that are really homeless will really need.
Yeah, we covered a lot of this. I think it was 2 weeks ago or whatever. And there's something. One thing I brought up that I don't think you heard or something like that. That there was a guy that frequently sits on one of the corners that we drive by all the time, and my wife is one of those Facebook people. She's always on Facebook a lot, and she saw the guy on Facebook, and he was at a water park. He was at a water park one week, and I think the next week she went to check on Facebook, and that same guy, she caught him. He was like at the Red Lobster having a fancy dinner, and then I think the following week she caught him. Like, these people, they take photographs of this guy, like they know he's on that same street, that same main road. Like, it's not a street corner like in town or anything. It's like a busy, almost like just as you get off onto the highway type of situation, and it's the same guy, and they catch pictures of him like every week going to a different place every week. And it's one thing if he's in a restaurant and you catch a picture of him in the restaurant, you think, well, maybe just somebody, maybe someone gave him the money and he went to that restaurant and had himself a nice dinner, and that's nice. I would be happy for that person if that was the case. But when you're constantly catching them like going to a water park or going to Six Flags or this and that, I mean, that's to me, in my opinion, that's kind of a dead giveaway. They're not actually homeless. I'm just saying, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good sign that they don't really need the money. I would agree. If they're hanging out at water parks and Six Flags, yeah, probably not really homeless.
But now back on the Sagittariusly speaking, I believe you have something for us here tonight, do you not?
Well, yeah. Well, there's a hot topic. It's kind of a buzz lately. It's blowing up on Twitter and mainstream media, and it's kind of stirred up a little bit of controversy, and it got me thinking some philosophical thoughts. I wanted to kind of share them with you guys. I know it's kind of a I mentioned it to you before the show, and I know it's kind of a hot topic for you as well, Hebro. But it's the the release of this new Joker movie getting ready to come out. It has a lot. It stirred up a lot of interest simply because it's probably one of the most anticipated movies of the year. At the same time, it brings up the the uh, the remembrance of the last time
Yeah,
the when
careful.
that
You might want to say Carrara. The Carrara incident would be the way to say
yeah,
it.
the
Careful.
Carrara incident. Yeah, yeah. In the sense that it's got the mainstream media saying that the FBI, the military is going to be at at these theaters. The they're warning people, not to go to the movie on opening night. I mean, it's just really kind of strange and how much the media is drawing attention to this. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it almost seems like they're trying to invoke something to happen, like they're trying to encourage the guy that might be on the fence, thinking about who could be potentially be doing, who would potentially do something like that, almost as if they're encouraging it to happen. And that's the part that kind of like it just seems almost like it would benefit them more as far as their um, the agenda that mainstream media is trying to push. That the powers that be, with gun control being a hot topic lately, and just another way to make an excuse for censorship in general with the movies, because they practically tried to block the movie from coming out. And then you take into mind the whole symbolism of what the Joker represents in the first place. I mean, he's kind of an agent of chaos. He's like he's not your typical bad guy in the sense that he's not he can't be bought. He's not motivated by personal gain
No.
or like literally there's scenes in the movie where he gets a bunch of money and he just burns it just to prove his point. He's actually motivated by his beliefs, and the thing that he's literally trying to expose is the fact that that people, even the highest people in society are corruptible, and the ones that are in control often the most corrupted. And that's kind of like what his agenda is, the thing that he's trying to expose. And it almost seems like the ideology that he represents is by acknowledging the shadow or the dark side of oneself. That's how you overcome it. That you can acknowledge the shadow without becoming it, and that's kind of the best way to overcome it. It's when you don't acknowledge the shadow that it breaks free. And then you look down, like I don't know, if you look deep down and like almost everybody in society, anybody you talk to, deep down they can relate to that kind of darkness, that kind of hopelessness, that kind of like feeling like the world is unjust. And if I could just think of a way to expose it and prove it, without going to such. I mean, of course, in the movie he goes to extremes and he resorts to violence, and I'm not by any means encouraging that kind of behavior.
Comic book.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I don't know. It almost seems like the warnings themselves are meant. Uh, are they meant to prevent another incident from occurring, or are they actually trying to inspire or invoke one? And then that's kind of like where my head's at with this whole thing. And then to a lesser degree, he represents an adversarial, necessary evil. I mean, that you got disturbing chatter on the dark web. You got his character is a failed comedian who loses his wife and kid after he gets involved into some criminal activity. It's kind of like an allegory on self mastery over your emotions. It's just really, and then you got the whole Batman. I mean, no, Batman's not in this particular movie, but he's
Well, no.
But at the same time, Batman kind of doesn't represent your typical superhero. I mean, he's kind of like a silent protector, watching from the shadows, a Dark Knight represented archetype of. And then you take the last line from that most recent Batman movie, and here's the closing line that the Joker has to say. You just couldn't let me go, could you? This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an impossible or an immovable object.
Immovable
You
object.
tru- yeah, you truly are incorruptible, aren't you? You won't kill me out of some. You won't kill me out of some in
False
place sense of self righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to kill you because you're just too much fun. I mean, that kind of pretty much sums it up, don't it? I just wanted to bring out these talking points and get your guys' thoughts on the situation.
Well, can I just step in here just a moment and say that?
Yeah, I want to hear from you.
First, I'd just like to point out that if you knew the Joker, the history of Joker, if you read anything from The Killing Joke or The Man Who Laughs, those are one of the best Joker comics that are out there. So if you got anything from any points of reference, read those two comic books, and they'll tell you the ideology of the Joker and what he's supposed to represent. And like you said, the Joker represents chaos. He's not motivated by money. He's not motivated by sex. He's not motivated by any of the human qualities that we're all motivated by. And like you said, his whole point was that he could corrupt anybody. Like he corrupted their White Knight, Harvey Dent. The White Shining Knight was Harvey Dent in that last movie, and he was able to even corrupt him. And I think in this new movie coming up, he's trying to corrupt Thomas Wayne. If I'm not mistaken, that's part of the whole thing, and he's trying to show the world just how ugly the world truly is. Of course, there's a lot of things that happen to him along the way, and we don't want to spoil anything for anybody that wants to watch the movie. But getting back to the point that you're trying to make, there's a lot of that fear-mongering going on out there, and I think a lot of it, I think about 75% of it is the movie itself trying to promote itself in a negative way, and it knows that if it does this, saying, oh, well, this movie's going to promote violence, or this movie's going to provoke someone to go on the same exact killing spree that they went on back in 2012 when the movie Dark Knight Rises came out. And that guy, what was his name? John...
be careful what you say. We get it. The Corora incident.
Yeah, and it's not so much that the movie itself wants that. The movie's actually banning the press from even being there. It's the networks. It's not really the Warner Brothers film movie studio. They're actually trying to downplay it as much as possible, but the media won't let it go.
They're trying to downplay it, but at the same time, don't you think that the sort of, like any press, what they say is good press. Any press, negative or bad, could be good press. And even though they're trying to downplay it, it's kind of like, well, if you want to say negative things about the movie, we're not going to stop you, but we're going to come out and say we're against it. But at the same time, don't they want the publicity, though, is what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. But like Joaquin Phoenix, I think he's the one playing the Joker in the movie. He was recently being interviewed, and he was being asked just those questions, and he literally got up and walked away from the interview because he was really dedicated to the role. He's really dedicated to trying to do it justice. And he kind of, as an actor, you kind of have to go into that whole mind state. So he like you and I understand the character and what the Joker represents. He does too, but the media, like your average reporter, was standing in his face with a microphone, really knows nothing about what the Joker really is. Just trying to get a controversial response out of them. I mean, it's really bottom line. It's people trying to push an agenda, using the movie to try to push an agenda, which is the part I have the problem with. With
Sure.
them beefing up military presence at these theaters, with them, all these news
That's
reporters wanting
ridiculous.
to be there to cover what, make something out of nothing, with them telling the theaters, telling people they're not allowed to dress up. I mean, it's just more and more oppression, more and more censorship, more and
Time to put
more
up.
can't have this, can't do that. And it just seems like everybody's like overreacting before
Mhm.
something even happens, to the point where they're actually going to cause something to happen. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly my point too, and my other point being is that they're doing this all. I'm sure there's been other incidents that's happened in movie theaters, but can we just say, for the sake of argument, that that thing that happened back in 2012 during the rise of the Dark Knight was a one isolated incident? And could it happen again? Yeah, probably. Anything could happen again. I mean, an incident like 9/11 could happen again. An incident like any kind of incident could happen again, certainly. But you can't sit there and say, well, we're going to do this or that. We're going to scare you're going to scare moviegoers and to even want to go to the movies first in the first place. And the second thing is, you're putting all that propaganda out there, and it's all going to be for nothing. And like you said, all it's doing, it's giving people ideas in their heads and go, oh, okay, well, you know what? If you're going to say this is going to happen, then I'm going to make it happen. We're gonna send people in there for the sake of sending people in there to do this thing because you said it's going to happen, and we're going to blame it all on the Joker movie. It's the same thing with violence on TV. A long time ago, people were saying, I started a fire in my house because I watched an episode of Beavis and Butthead. Or they're saying, well, I poked someone's eye out because I watched something on the Three Stooges. Or, it's not to that extreme that someone's going to come in the movie theater and shoot everyone up in the movie theater. But what I'm saying is, when you project violence, violence happens. Is what you're trying to say. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, it almost seems like, if you want to get on an esoterical level or a religious level, it almost seems like they're trying to invoke it. Like they're literally rooting for it to happen. It's almost like the news, like your CNN, your ABC, your CBS, whoever. They're chomping at the bit, wanting to be there to cover something that's going. They act. It almost seems like they're encouraging it. Is what I'm getting at. Like, they're, in a ritualistic kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to cause it. Is what I'm saying.
It's almost as ridiculous as, remember that back to school sale video that I think Dan did a couple weeks ago, or about a week ago or so, where he showed the video of it was a back to school commercial, and the kids like, oh, I got this for my back to school, or I got that for my back to school. And they were showing ways of using the things they got from their back to school to escape from a gun shooting emergency, or they were showing ways to duck and cover from a gun shooting emergency, or something like that. Do you guys remember that video I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I've seen something about that.
And it's sickening, really, in a way. You see that it's like they're putting this out as a commercial for back to school, a commercial for all to see. It's like, why are you guys doing this? All you're doing is invoking bad things to happen, and in my opinion,
Well, I
you're
mean, it's kind of came down to a thing where you have to question who has the most to gain, like the incentive. I mean, if you really think about it, if an incident were to occur, okay, let's just say that it did or that it does, who which cause does it proponent? Whose cause gets further, whose agenda gets further pushed along? It's not going to be the cause of being able to make more movies like the Joker. It's not going to be able to. It's not going to be the cause of being able to freely be able to do things and not have things censored and not have liberals or media control what's out there, or your ability to own a gun. It's going to propose the more for more control, more scrutiny, more
Yep.
censorship. I mean, they're actually the ones who gain if something does happen, and that's the sickest part about it.
They use that fear against us in order to control us. Is another thing, in my opinion. They use all of this. That yeah, are there bad things that happen? Sure, of course there are. But when you invoke this stuff, and when you make it, like you said, when you make it larger than what it is, and you make it seem like it's always happening everywhere, and then you send all this stuff out, then people get scared, and then they're just like, oh, I'm not going to go see that movie, or I'm not going to go do this, or I'm not going to go do that. To me, that's another way of controlling people. It's another way of, I won't say mind control, but another way of controlling our population to do what the government wants us to do. You know what I'm saying? Keeping us in check.
Exactly, and then the biggest irony of it all lies in the fact that they're choosing to make it this movie because of the fact of what the ideology of the movie represents. It's almost like if you could go cabal on an issue, this is cabal right here. I mean, you make a movie about a anti-villain, with an anti-hero hero that's not necessarily in this movie, but was the cause of the last incident that occurred. And you put up all this military, all of this juju, all this conscious thought into something bad, something bad, almost like they're trying to encourage something bad. It really just blows my mind that it's came down to this. It's almost like this movie in itself represents, and the movie itself represents good versus evil and the extremes that people go to within that whole battle. Then you have the whole media turning it into a literal, social media turning it into a whole fight outside of it within itself, kind of doing the same thing. It really is mind blowing if when you try to wrap your head around all of it. It really is.
Disgusting, man. It really is disgusting. It's like, seriously, guys, we're gonna have to send in the National Guard just so we can go see a movie now. Is that what it's come down to? I mean, that's just, it's sad, man. It really is sad when it comes down to it. I mean, think about it. I just want to see this movie, and I want to see this movie. I want to see it for what it is. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. Don't make it out to be more than what it is. And don't be scaring people thinking, oh, I can't go to the movie theater now because I might get blown away. I mean,
You say that like I know you wouldn't be afraid to go, but let's say your daughter was about 10 years older and she was wanting to go see this movie on opening night with her friends, would you let her go?
absolutely.
Well, that's good.
Absolutely, I would. You know what? Because you got to live your life as though your life is your last days on earth. And which really they are, because we only get one shot at the light, at our physical life. You know what I'm saying? I know that um we I don't want to say that we live forever, but our physical forms don't live forever. So we only got one shot at it. So why live your life in fear and not enjoy yourself while you're here, and be trapped in some corner like a brown recluse somewhere, and not be able to live your life. Live your life out there and have fun. Don't just, don't be trying to, you can't shield your children, you can't shield yourself from every single thing. You have to go out and do things and experience life, because life is too short. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'd like to hear if Armor has any thoughts on all of this, one way or the other.
Well, I got lots of thoughts. I just been politely waiting.
Spill it out.
There's so many. This is a perfect example of quite a few different evil type forces, for lack of a better term, different operatives on the other side coming together for different goals. You got the, first of all, they've immediately tied everyone who reads this, they're instantly going to flash back to the other incident. So now they've reinstilled that fear for the ones that feed off that fear. That's one of the evil sides that's working. The ones that eat the fear need to fear, feed off the fear. The ones that's been in charge since the 9/11, basically. So you got the fear feeders. They're happy because they're going to instantly make everyone think back to the other incident, and they're going to get fed. Like right now, they're getting fed big time just by the fact that people are talking about it and mentioning all that, because that makes people think about it. That makes them scared. Like you said, mission accomplished for that dark side. You also got the dark side that worship Shiva and whatever other name they want to go by, the god or goddess, depending on which religion you're looking at, of chaos. Because you yourselves just said this character represents chaos. So this character is a representation of Shiva or whatever other name you want to give it, depending on the religion you're looking at. So you're going to have people having sympathy and all but basically idolizing Shiva. Whether they realize it or not, the dark side don't care if you know what you're doing, as long as you're dumb enough to do it. It don't matter if you know what you're doing. So that side's in on it, and they're going to get a good chunk. They're going to get a nice little win out of all this nonsense. You've also got the, how shall we say, bad dudes in our own government who we know are the ones that really do these things, just like they're the ones that really did the other one that this makes people think about. It's hard to find, but there's plenty of witnesses out there on news right after the incident that says about there were people dressed in black, more than one, that did what happened there, and not some dude with funny green hair. That's, I mean, you may not be able to find it anymore, but it's the truth. So, and we all know that. It gives them another chance to do what they do. You know what I mean? So that side wins. So right there's three different evil entities, for lack of a better word, that don't always work together, working together wonderfully to cause all kind of havoc because people are buying right into it. So they're going to feed the fear. They're going to get people to inadvertently feel sorry for their goddess, Shiva. And they're also going to set themselves up for a perfect operation to, again, further the gun control and everything else and put pressure on the Trump or whatever, I mean, blah, 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 on and on and on. So this is a perfect example of evil working together for different goals and all accomplishing it through one little simple movie. This is exactly how it works. One little simple movie feeds massive fear to that side, gets people feeling sorry for their goddess of chaos or god of chaos, depending on your religion of choice, and also sets them up for a perfect excuse for their next operation to help further their agenda of gun control.
I couldn't agree with you more. And then when I was researching this, I did come across those eyewitness testimonies where they said somebody went down to the exit door. Now the theaters have an exit door. Everybody leaves so they can go straight out to the parking lot or whatever. Somebody went down to the exit door and let four guys dressed in black in the theater, and that's when all heck broke loose. You're 100% correct with that.
Oh yeah. We all know it was a few dudes in black that did what happened there. It wasn't no dude with green hair. I mean, anyone that did any research at that time knows. And I never watched the news. I don't watch anything on TV. Well, I won't say anything. There's a couple shows I watch once in a while, but I don't ever watch news. I've never got a newspaper in my life. So what I hear and learn about incidents like that basically comes from the internet. But yeah, I've seen enough clips from live news feeds talking to survivors that, yeah, blew the mainstream story out of the water easy. Anyone did. We all did. We all know. And it sets it up again. It's perfect. I mean, it's sad, but it's perfect, especially since they're going to be there prepared for it. Because every time this stuff happens, there's a drill for exactly that happening at the same time. So, I mean, come on, people. It's the same pattern over and over and over. So, solution is, like Hebrew was saying, don't feed the fear. First of all, there's three different little spiritual battles going on. Basically, is what I'm saying with this whole little bitty incident. Don't feed the fear side, because that's what they want. So no fear. Remember who's in charge. Don't feed the fear side. We have no fear. Second side, don't feel sympathy for the character that they're going to promote as a good bad guy. Don't feel bad for Shiva, the goddess of chaos. Don't fall into that little trick and trap. Because it matters. Although it may sound stupid and crazy and funny, it matters on a spiritual level. And third, watch your back if you go, because they're basically telling you they're about to pull off an operation, in my opinion. So that's what I think about the whole little situation.
I think you're right there, Armor. And you know what? I'm kind of half guilty. I wouldn't quite say so far as I feel sorry for Sheba or I feel sorry for the character in the movie, but I do relate to certain aspects of the of somebody who's out to prove that the government is corrupt or that the powers that be are corrupt. And in that sense, I relate to it. I'm not saying I feel sorry for it or that I'm necessarily rooting for it, but I can relate to it, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying. And we got to remember, though, I mean, like I said, it may sound crazy, but symbolism is a big part of that one strand of magic. They're all about their symbols. So it is definitely a symbol for their god/goddess. So it does sort of make a difference. And that's the same way with all the words. Like you said, they're basically promoting this through what they're saying. Absolutely. That's another form of another group doing what they do with their word. Basic magic's the only way to put it. I don't know how you want to put it, but they're using their words to basically try to bring it about. That's what they do. One's using their symbols to try to bring it about. There's lots going on, but yeah.
And that's the thing, is we're supposed to feel sympathy for the character at the beginning of the movie, but you have to also keep in mind that you shouldn't. Number one, uh, he's supposed to be a bad guy, okay, no matter what, because he is the Joker. Number two, there is a point where he goes overboard. Like, he's trying to expose the government and do it in a good way, but he goes overboard. And got to remember, he is crazy. So I have a feeling towards the end we're not going to be rooting for the character. We're not going to be feeling sympathy for this character, because he's going to take it too far at some point, because it is the Joker after all, and we all know what the Joker turns out to be. So,
but you got to remember, brother, we're dealing with emotions, and emotions feed one side or the other. So even if they can get 90% of that audience who's brainwashed and lost, well, 99% probably. I mean, you might be the only awoke person seeing the movie in a theater. You know what I'm saying? So as long as they get the majority of their moviegoers who are happy little zombies trotting about their life to feel sympathy for an hour and a half before he goes too far. That's a lot of good food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got a good point there.
Yeah, you got to take your own personal um, kind of objectivity and power to discern the difference, because you obviously, it's kind of a special. I know you kind of have a certain affinity for the whole Batman series in general, because I mean that's kind of a well-known thing that you do, but at the same time, not everybody goes in with that same higher level of consciousness. They don't pick up on the what's really happening, and they're actually getting fed negativity in the form of positivity, and they're actually susceptible to it, I guess, is kind of what Armor's point is. And I definitely can get that. It's just really a shame that this is the most anticipated movie of the year. Literally, the name of the movie, The Joker. I mean, the joke is on you, Jack.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I just thought it would be a good thing to talk about, because the movie comes
Oh,
out, I think, on the 3rd or the 4th of October. It's just a few days away, and I thought it would be a good Shifty Sunday topic. I didn't know if we were going to open up the phone lines. Had we? I don't remember us discussing that one way or the other.
We are later a little bit here after a while. If Armor has them open, I don't know. Do you?
Yeah, they should be all set up and ready. Hopefully, should work fine. Hopefully, my computer's been a little goofy lately, but yeah, everything should be set to go.
Everything is shifty. But I just want to remind everybody that we all know that the Joker is a bad guy. I mean, there's no question about that. He is a villainous guy. He is crazy. He's always been that way, always will be. There will be no change in the Joker. So no matter how you look at him, at the beginning of the movie where they're all treating him like shit, they're all kicking his butt all over the place and stuff like that. Do remember, look at it this way. Hitler had some pretty good ideas at first, okay? You know what I'm saying? And everyone thought that he was going to be the good guy. Everyone had at one point, not everyone, but certainly the Germans, the ones his followers, certainly had sympathy for him and all that he had been through when he was a kid and all this and that. But look how he turned out and look what happened with him. So don't ever judge a character by how they start out with in the beginning, because it all goes downhill from there. It's just what I'm saying. I'm not trying to play down Hitler or anything like that and compare him to the Joker, but I'm just saying, does anyone know where I'm going with that one?
I understand what you're trying to say. I mean, it's one of those things where you, even though the ends and you have the ends versus the means, and the end doesn't always justify the means. So I guess is kind of like the point you're trying to make.
But we do have the phone lines open, I think. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, if we want to do them now.
I'm ready when you are.
Saji? Let me get
Yeah, that's fine. You might want to put the number on the screen there, Ebro.
Put your little thing up.
All right. The number's up there.
And while he gets that set up, do you want to look at chat, see what they might be saying one way or the other, read off a couple comments? I'm sure they've had some thoughts on the subject as well.
There you go. I'm going to put what Rain on the Plains said, that she's expressing the point that I was trying to make exactly. Here it is. Oh, that takes the number down, doesn't it? I'll put the number back up here in a second. I just wanted you guys to all see what she had to say right there. Can you see that on the screen, Sagittarius speaking?
Yeah, it says Hitler, and I'm German, played into their attitude of better than everyone else. You went into a demonic dark place, black goo and all that. So crazy. Yeah, very true.
That's kind of the statement I was going. It's like supposedly he started out with good intentions, and everyone kind of played into his hand, like, "Oh yeah, this is a good guy. Let's vote him in, or not vote him in, but whatever you do to a dictator, let's get him in there. Yeah, we'll follow him."
Well, I mean, they devotedly followed his cause, and
Right.
he played like she said, they she he proponentized
Well,
the superiority complex factor
you got to
the mentality they had.
remember, and it's like Taekwondo said, Hitler was able to take over because of the economic crisis. That's exactly what happened. It was the end of World War One. Germany was annihilated. I mean, they were all but done. So they had to build themselves back from basically rubble, literally. And Hitler was one of the ones that came along at the right time to help spur the economy, spur their nationality back. Like Rain on the Plains said also, he give them back that feeling of better than everyone else. I mean, face it, that's what nations do. Isn't that what nationalism's all about? That your nation's better than everyone else? Isn't that what
Right. I mean, look at like
that
what
our
is our current president's favorite thing to say? Make America great again. I mean, kind of
exactly?
the
I mean,
same message, right?
but that's how basically he got back, was because he basically, not just Hitler alone, but the whole party, everything that was happening then, pulled the country back from death to being a power again. So that's why the people followed him, because they'd seen he did a lot. I mean, I'm not saying Hitler was good by any means, but I'm just saying he did a lot to help Germany even come back.
The known doe always raises a good point, though. I said the known doe. Never mind.
Yeah, I know. You're doing the play on words thing.
Yeah, I'm doing that thing again.
Well, somebody needs to call in. I don't hear the beep beep sound.
You'll never hear the beep beep sound, man. Never. 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 Hey, well, since nobody's called in yet, God's armor. I'm sorry, armor up. I keep calling you God's armor for some reason.
Everybody did.
Do you want to run your new segment tonight, or you want to save that for a different time?
Well, no, I got it ready. We can do it. Let me hold on a second. Now I won't be able to. I'm not going to be able to see the chat or the phone lines while I'm reading. But so if anyone calls in, be patient. I'll get back to you when I'm done reading. So hold on. Let me get the. Give me 1 second. Wasn't great. Quite set up, but it'll only take a second. Let me get that picture open.
I just figured we've heard enough bad news for tonight. How about some good news?
Yeah, it's our new segment. Good news is good news.
Well, it looks like we got some breaking news in for you today. It's armor up with good news is better than bad news.
That's right. And like Taekwondo says, armor up says, if you have to wait, just wait longer. That's basically it. All right, let's see which one we're going to do first. Yeah, we everyone hears bad news, if you watch the news. I don't do the news, but people do. There's no good news. So I decided every week we ought to do a couple of good news stories. Because there's lots of good news out there. There's lots of real people doing loving things all the time. So the first story is about a crane operator who makes a heartwarming pact with a dying man who had been watching him work every day. This one comes out of Ohio. A compassionate crane up. Wait a minute, I got to put my reading glasses on. I can't.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. All right. Now I can see. A compassionate crane operator from Ohio is being praised for going out of his way to befriend a dying man who couldn't help but miss his former glory days in construction. It had been Sean Beveridge's first day working on his most recent construction job when he noticed a man sitting in his wheelchair on the sidewalk of a nursing home across the street from the building site. The man watched Beveridge and his colleagues working from morning into evening and continued to watch them every day after that. He even ate lunch the same time that they ate lunch. I originally thought to myself, he's just a curious old man wanting to enjoy his days outside versus being cooped up in his room, Beveridge recalled in a post earlier this month. Well, after a couple days, I myself got curious, so I walked over and introduced myself to him. Beveridge and the man, who identified himself as Harold, ended up sharing an amiable 2.5-hour conversation about construction. Before Harold's health issues landed him in hospice care back in 2012, he had spent 50 years as a crane operator. He said he enjoys seeing what he used to love to do for a living and never thought he'd ever be able to see or be around a crane again, let alone be so close to see one in action. So I made Harold a deal. I told him since he had ran cranes for over 50 years, and no matter how good you think you are at something, there's always room to learn. So I told Harold every day after work, I'll sit with him for a little bit so he can critique me and judge me on how I did for that day. You know, give him something to talk about that he enjoys. Well, I also get to learn from his experience. Well, he asked if he could be in the payroll, and I said, well, that wouldn't be possible, but I agreed to buy him a black coffee every morning for as long as I'm here, and to buy him lunch twice a week from wherever he chooses. He didn't skip a beat before absolutely came out of his mouth. Now, Harold, he came to learn, had 3 children, but none of them had ever came to see him since he'd been put in the home. Since Beveridge described his heartwarming encounter with Harold, his post has been shared more than 200,000 times. He now hopes it will inspire other people to reach out to a stranger who may need a smile. Always try to enlighten someone's spirits when God chooses to take this man home. I'm happy knowing that I've been placed here at this location to make his days better, concluded Beveridge. I'm happy with that. Crickets.
That was actually really cool story. The only part that I wish I would have got to hear was how if his critiques actually helped him improve his crane operations, if that was one of the results of their friendship or newfound friendship. But I really enjoyed the story. Thanks for sharing it.
That was good, man. I'll tell you what, like you said, I'd rather hear good news than bad news any day.
Absolutely. Cool. And we have one more good news story. I got 2 this week. This one is teacher carries a student with spina bifida on his back so she won't miss out on the class field trip. This comes out of Kentucky. A Kentucky teacher is being hailed for going above and beyond the call of duty to bring a disabled student along on the field trip. Ryan Neighbor's 4th grade class at Tully Elementary School had been preparing to go on a field trip to the falls of the Ohio State Park last week, and she was heartbroken over the prospect of missing out on the fun. Since the 10-year-old youngster was born with spina bifida, she has relied on a wheelchair her entire life, and this is not the first time that her disability prevented her from attending field trips in the past. So her mother, Shelley King, began preparing for an alternate field trip day. Thankfully, she didn't have to. Upon hearing about Ryan's plight, elementary school teacher Jim Freeman contacted the family out of the blue and offered to carry Ryan around on his back for the entire field trip. True to his word, Freeman used a specialized backpack to carry the 55-pound youngster on his back across the entire park terrain. Ryan was thrilled. Since her mother shared photos of Freeman and Ryan on the field trip, they have been shared thousands of times. We are so blessed to have an entire school that is so compassionate and empathetic and never make her feel left out, King wrote on the Team Ryan Facebook page, documenting her daughter's experiences with spina bifida. These beautiful people should be shared with the world to see and inspire.
Huh.
Yeah, that was awesome too. Believe it or not, I actually came across that one week. I don't know if it was when I was trying to look up an inspirational story for the show or what, but I do remember hearing about that, especially the part where he put him on his back. That's the part that it triggered my memory that I had heard that before. It's we need more people like that in this world, and I'm sure that there really are. They just don't get enough credit and recognition because nobody puts it out there. And more often than not, the people who are out there doing the good deeds, they're not really doing it for the recognition anyway. So it's not like it really gets known or talked about.
What in the world? I got one question. Was this just some random guy or a teacher?
Yeah, it was a teacher, but not her teacher. It was another teacher in the school.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask this: Why is Jess coming in here under her old channel name? That's kind of weird. Did she get Mandela?
I don't know. Yeah, you're right, Sandy. That's why I thought I'd do a couple stories a week because, like you said, people, they don't get any credit. Not that that's why they do it, but they should get credit, and it should help inspire other people, I think.
Well, with that being said, I got one I was going to share as well. It's kind of along the same lines, and the phone hasn't rang yet. Do you have any callers waiting?
Nope, no callers waiting. And Jess said she changed her name back. It's not a Mandela.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and read mine then. Buy some time while you guys. Hopefully, a call come in just some time in while I'm reading this. It's about an 87-year-old college student named Rose. The first day of school, our professor introduced himself and challenged us to get to know someone we didn't already know. I stood up to look around when a gentle hand touched my shoulder. I turned around to find a wrinkled little old lady beaming up at me. With a smile that lit up her entire being, she said, "Hi, handsome. My name is Rose. I'm 87 years old. Can I give you a hug?" I laughed and enthusiastically responded, "Of course you may." And she gave me a giant squeeze. "Why are you in college at such a young, innocent age?" I asked. She jokingly replied, "I'm here to meet a rich husband, get married, and have a couple kids." No, seriously, I asked. I was curious what may have motivated her to be taking on this challenge at her age. "I always dream of having a college education, and now I'm getting one," she told me. After class, we walked to the student union building and shared a chocolate milkshake. We became instant friends. Every day for the next 3 months, we would leave class together and talk nonstop. I was always mesmerized listening to this time machine as she shared her wisdom and experience with me. Over the course of the next year, Rose became a campus icon as she easily made friends wherever she went. She loved to dress up, and she reveled in the attention bestowed upon her from the other students. She was living it up. At the end of the semester, we invited Rose to speak at our football banquet. I'll never forget what she taught us. She was introduced and stepped up to the podium. As she began to deliver her prepared speech, she dropped her 3x5 cards on the floor. Frustrated and a little embarrassed, She leaned into the microphone and simply said, "I'm sorry, I'm so jittery. I gave up beer for Lent, and this whiskey is killing me." I'll never get my speech back in order, so let me just tell you what I know. As we laughed, she cleared her throat and began. We do not stop playing because we are old. We grow old because we stop playing. There are only four secrets to staying young: being happy and achieving success. You have to laugh and find humor every day. You've got to have a dream. When you lose your dreams, you die. We have so many people walking around who are dead and don't even know it. There is a huge difference between growing older and growing up. If you are 19 years old and lie in bed for one full year and don't do one productive thing, you will turn 20 years old. If I'm 87 years old and I stay in bed for a year and never do anything, I will turn 88. Anybody can grow older. That doesn't take any talent or ability. The idea is to grow up by always finding opportunity and change. Have no regrets. The elderly usually don't have regrets for what we did, but rather for the things we did not do. The only people who fear death are those with regrets. She concluded her speech by courageously singing The Rose. She challenged each of us to study the lyrics and live them out in our daily lives. At the year's end, Rose finished the college degree she had begun all those years ago. 1 week after graduation, Rose died perfectly in her sleep. Over 2,000 college students attended her funeral in tribute to the wonderful woman who taught by example that it's never too late to be all you can possibly be. When you finish reading this, please send this peaceful word of advice to all of your friends and family. They'll really enjoy it.
Awesome. And we did get a caller while you was reading that.
All right, cool.
Awesome stuff.
All right, and then there's actually a picture of Rose. I'm gonna send it to Hangouts if you want to share it.
Yeah, can we share that real quick before we answer the call, or are they anxious to get on?
No, go ahead and answer the call. You can still show the picture while the caller's talking.
Oh, can I? I mean, I don't want to be rude.
Actually, I can't even get in the Hangouts while I'm on here, so never mind.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got our caller from Maryland. You are live.
Hello, it's Jesse over here in Maryland. Jesus is calling. He told me to tell you all what up. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Jess, good to hear from you.
Oh,
I recognize your voice.
Oh yeah. What's new?
oh, not too much. Just coming on to say hi to everybody. Just glad you guys are still on. I was coming a little bit late. How have you guys been? Armor Up, Hebrew, Sagittariously speaking. It's good to see all you guys on. I've been haven't seen you guys in a while.
Yeah, you kind of haven't been around. I've been keeping an eye on your channel. I think you just recently did a video, but it was the first one in a while, right?
Yeah, I've been trying to balance life and that type of thing, and it's been a week, for sure though, because I've been it's been a week. I reached out to a pastor friend, well, my friend, the husband of a friend today, but I didn't really go into too much detail. I was just like, can you look this up and then here's my phone number. Talk to me once you've looked into this some more. So that's going to be interesting. And I've been, talking to Deb a lot, Mandela Health and stuff, and we're going to get a video out pretty soon on some more physical things. I haven't been sleeping well. And then I got a migraine, which if you've ever had a migraine before, those are the worst. So take care of yourself. But one of the things that I was
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
talking to you guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wanted to bring up my husband and I just watched this movie called, or not a movie, like a documentary type thing on Netflix, which take it for what it's worth, I guess. But it's called The Mind Explained, and the first episode of it is about memory. And of course, my husband had heard about it, and he's like, "Oh, it just sounds interesting. It has nothing to do with Mandela or anything like that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, whatever. I'll watch it with you because I know all this stuff from going to grad school." But one thing it did remind me of is that in this documentary, it talks about like episodic and semantic memory. So, and like the documentary is kind of cool because it does explain how like our memories are all like memory isn't just one part of the brain. Like for example, like our eyesight is many things within our mind are only in one part of the brain, but like eyesight, for example, it's in the occipital lobe in the back of the brain. Like our executive functions, how to like plan out things are like in our frontal lobe. But memory is stored in different parts of the brain, all over the brain, depending on the type of memory that it is. So, for example, with trauma memories, they are in a very specific part of the brain when it's still in a trauma, and like it's in your non-dominant hemisphere, in your, I want to say your parietal lobe, something like that. I just went to trauma training last week also. But anyway, so that being said, one of the things that in this documentary is talking about is episodic and semantic memory. And semantic memory is more about like facts, meaning, concepts, knowledge about the external world, whereas episodic memory is more about like your personal experiences, like, your autobiographical events. Like when I was 3, I lived in this house and I remember this thing. So oftentimes there's emotional connections within it. It's very like centered around yourself, whereas semantic memory is like what we learn in school. And one interesting thing I noticed is that like a lot of Mandela effects are kind of like semantic memory, although I'm sure on the other hand that a lot of it's semantic memory, but at the same time, a lot of us who have like those memories, we remember them because we have like oftentimes like a specific event, or we have some type of anchor for those memories as to why we remember them. So it's just an interesting little, I don't know, it's completely unrelated to what you guys are talking about, but I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Would you say the name of it is?
It's called The Mind Unleashed, I think. Hold on. The Mind Explained. I'm sorry. The Mind
Cool.
Explained.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. Like Robin says in the chat, scent, things like that, a smell, or anything can like trigger a memory. So yeah, there are certain things that seem to embed with a memory.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like and you have like, I wonder where like it's one of the things like most people can't remember, what they. I'm not to be trying to be facetious, but they have a hard time remembering what they had for lunch yesterday, but they can remember where they were when a significant event in their life happened or a significant thing in history happened. Like almost everybody can recount where they were when they heard about 9/11. Everybody can remember where they were when, or where they went when they, for their post graduation from high school or college dinner or whatever, or their honeymoon when they got married or something like that. But they can't remember, where they what happened to them last weekend. What if they cut the grass on Saturday or Sunday? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, And then when you get into Mandela effects, I think that there's reasons certain ones resonate more with certain people and certain ones resonate more with other people, simply because how much they were particularly affected by that particular thing. Like if you were really into Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as a child, it was like your favorite movie, and you used to quote it and say it and do it, and then all of a sudden the movie has changed. That's going to be a one that resonates stronger with you, as creates more of a weird feeling, when you first hear about it, where one that never really much affected you one way or the other. You don't really have a strong memory one way or the other. It's not going to really resonate with you so much. And I mean, I know I'm kind of being Captain Obvious here, but it is interesting to realize that visualization memory. You have different compartments in your mind that store different memories. Because you mentioned trauma memory, it seems like trauma also is one of those things where you can you can re-experience the emotions of the trauma simply by remembering the trauma itself, the thing that happened. Yet a lot of times it always seems like the your mind wants to block out the intimate details of exactly what happened, because it wants to spare you the act of reliving those emotions. So it purposely holds back certain specific details. And then you have a lot of times where people witness like a car accident where people are actually injured or people are actually hurt, and you'll have five people standing there on the side of the intersection who witnessed it not but 20 minutes ago when the police got there, and they're trying to fill out their reports, and all five people give a totally different account of what had happened, simply because not that they all not that all five of them are lying or trying to confabulate a story, but the way that their mind um, filtered the images that they saw in order to protect their psyche. They saw it differently. And it really is a weird phenomenon how your brain chooses to filter and logically make sense of things in your memory when you go to recount them later. It really is an interesting concept. I'm done.
Yeah, it is a really interesting concept. You're right, and I agree with everything that you said. And the interesting thing about this little documentary series is it ended this episode kind of with like, well, if memory isn't very accurate, what does that mean? Like, what is the meaning of it then? Like, and in some ways, this kind of goes to like, why are we experiencing the Mandela effect, right? And it talks about how what is actually one of the factors of people who've had damage or surgery to these areas of the brain, certain areas of the brain that store these different types of memory. The common denominator after damage to those parts of the brain
Your brain
was
isn't a
inability to plan for and like talk about the future even, and like have hope in the future. And so I just thought that was fascinating too, that like, I don't know, for a lot of people, the Mandela effect, like what effect has it had, on you in that regard? In some ways, I don't know, I'm like, yeah, this kind of ties in. I don't know, like I because like my memories are not firm in my past, it makes the future seem scarier, right? Or because I'm not remembering things the same way that everybody else seems to remember them. But then on the other hand, there is this like the hope that we have in Jesus, right? And that from that aspect of it is when I focus on that, when I focus on the truths that I do know and that I do remember, then I'm hopeful, and then I can think about the future. Data junkie. Oh, interesting. I don't know. It's just interesting. I've been like, my mind has been all over the place the past 2 days. So that's all I got for you guys today.
Well, no, I really appreciate you calling in and sharing it. I mean, I guess I'm not trying to get personal or anything, but are you okay? Is there? See, you haven't really been around much. Are you doing okay? Just generally speaking.
Generally speaking, yes. I guess I'm like, it's, it's like, it's just that same idea of like being in a crowded room, but feeling lonely, right?
And I think that's
Because
why it's
people don't
important.
get, like, how can you connect to, I don't know, like, I struggle with connecting with people and caring about the things that they don't care about. And I went to my friend's birthday party, or well, it's his son's birthday party, and actually had a really good conversation with him because he's been deployed a lot, and just talking about how, like, after, on the one hand being overseas, and then I wasn't talking to him about the Mandela effect, but it's the same, it's all in the same bubble of like, once you're like, for me, like knowing what I know and where I'm at, and like on this whole spiritual journey, and just seeing the unimportance of it all, like, oh my gosh, Ecclesiastes. It's like, it starts out in chapter 1, but you know, Solomon is the author of that book in the Bible, and all he writes over and over again, all is vanity. Like, it's all worthless, basically. It's like our striving for wisdom, everything is worthless. And like, that was a little bit sobering to read this weekend too. But anyway, talking to this friend and just talking about, like just the things, the first world problems that people have, not any of you guys, but like, I live in like the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area where people, make $100,000 a year or close to it, and complain about how, like, how unaffordable things are. And I'm like, you make $100,000 a year, like, your people, yeah, like, it's insane in this area. Just the things that people, and I'm sure part of it too is that, like, it's just life. Like, you talk about things, that's, everybody talks about, everybody complains about money here. That's just one of the things that, like, people talk about. It's like talking about the weather, I'm sure. But yeah, just, I don't know about anybody else, but just, yeah, connecting with people is hard. And I like moving around a lot. Like, I have friends here, and like I said, I went to this friend's birthday party for his son, and like, I was able to talk with him a little bit, and it was really great. Like, we went to basic training together, and it was him, two guys actually that I went to basic training with, and like, I have known for like 15 years. And so like, it was so good to see them. They live like an hour away, so I don't actually see them that often, but it was really great. And but again, at the same time, they still don't even get the whole Mandela effect thing. At least I don't know. I should ask. I haven't yet. But that is where my life is. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I know what you mean about reaching out, trying to connect with people. But that's the good thing about our community. And I think that's why it's important to make sure, even though we're not right there in your area type people, at least there's people out there who you can talk to, who you can relate with, who knows that's going through the same stuff you're going through. So, you know, don't don't get away from that, especially when there's no one else to relate to around you.
No, that's what we're all here for.
People is all we can do. Keep hopeful for them. I know I'm way behind in my videos, but I know the one video I watched of yours probably from a few weeks ago. I just watched the other day, and it sounded hopeful. I mean, um, you said about your husband reading the Bible again and things like that. So, possibly he'll start seeing the changes, or at least being willing to talk about them some. So lots of good things to look for and pray for. But yeah, I know what you mean about it. It's pretty hard to relate to 99% of the population because they're just, unfortunately, they're just zombies, for lack of a better word. So they're not
Yeah,
gonna, they don't care. They're
and
happy.
I'm with you on that too. In the same boat that I have a hard time reaching out to people and actually sharing. I mean, I know I sound like I'm on the show, like I just love to rant and talk and share and put myself out there. But in reality, I mean, in real world environments, I really am kind of reluctant to put myself out there to really share points of view or to talk about things that are of real substance in my life and to discuss truths and I would be very reluctant to bring up something like the Mandela effect or talk about a lot of the stuff that we talk about here on Shifty Sunday just with real world people that I come across simply because I don't know, I just don't really feel like they can relate and I don't really feel like they would understand what would understand anyway if I tried to bring it across or bring it to their attention. So I mean, I do a lot of times feel like I live in a bubble as well, so I can definitely relate to that.
And I look at it
Yeah,
this way
it's just,
myself.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, personally, myself, I figure if I'm going to get ostracized, I'll tell them about Jesus. You know what I mean? I don't even try to tell people anymore about Mandela or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I figure if I'm going to get ostracized, I might as well be doing it because I'm telling them about Jesus. So I don't even try to tell people around me about this stuff anymore. Once in a while, it might come up in a conversation, but I don't, yeah, I don't even try to wake people up to Mandela. I'm too busy trying to wake them up to Jesus. That's hard enough,
Mm,
personally.
Yeah, and I use the Mandela loosely because I really am not that really into the whole Mandela effect anymore. I mean, I still recognize it, and I still like being part of the community, and I still don't mind talking about it. But it's not something that I'm fixated on. Where every day I wake up and I'm thinking about the Mandela effect. I mean, I'm definitely kind of semi removed from. I mean, I think it's been discussed before how we kind of go through stages when you first kind of get exposed to it, it's a big deal. But over time, you just start to see, and a new one comes out. It just becomes something you kind of shrug your shoulders at. It's not even that big of a deal anymore. To me, it's just kind of one of those things though, where um, it's just another
Another day in the
truth.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's another true straw in the truth bucket, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
getting to that point also
that's,
where oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's definitely true. Like about it being another straw in the truth bucket, because that's the other thing too. Like I definitely, since the Mandela effect, like I see the world so much differently now. Like I was having a really great conversation with my husband in general, um, just before a little bit ago, and like I was talking to him about like vaccinations and how like I hate, like I don't want to get vaccinations. I don't want to get my kids the flu vaccination because it's the flu. They're fine. Like whatever. I don't. Anyway, that's like again a debatable topic. But
That's
even
a
just
whole nother rabbit hole, huh?
like do what?
I said that's a whole nother. We could do a whole show just about that.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, but just like all the things that like I kind of am awake
Why
to, and
don't
even he got a good laugh out of like me talking about like deep state and like nobody's out to get us, and I'm like, yes, I know, like this is not me being paranoid, like I know, like whatever. But anyway, it's a whole nother conversation also. But um, the whole thing with it is like I can have these conversations with him, but like with like your average person, like, having these conversations or like even just being able to express my own feelings about it, because it's like if you express your feelings about vaccinations or about, you know, indoctrination that's going on in our school systems or stuff like that, then like people don't believe you. Like, I don't know. So like it's all of it. It's not just the Mandela. Although I will say, I'm just realized when Sagittarius was speaking, you mentioned that like after a while you just kind of like it goes away or whatever. But this week is actually my 1 year anniversary of being awake to the Mandela effect and all things conspiracy theory. So there's that. Maybe that's why I'm feeling the way that I am this week.
So it's your 1 year anniversary. Are you going to like bake a truth cake or anything?
Oh my gosh. No, is that a thing? Do people do that? I'm going to make a cake tomorrow. Let's go.
Fizzy Pop did that.
I don't think people do it.
I think Fizzy Pop made a cake on her 1 year anniversary for her Manned Animals. So that might be a thing. I don't know.
We can make it a thing. We'll start right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, Jess. Jess, I got something for you. Here you go. How about this? Oh, never mind. It ain't. Never mind. It's not going to work, of course. Go ahead. Oh, wait. Here it goes. Nothing ever works on this show the way you want it to. That's why it's shifty. Okay, go ahead. Oh, there it is. There you go. What do you think?
That was a round of applause for your 1 year anniversary.
A round of applause, yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, thank you.
Thanks for calling in, by the way, and sharing. It was a real good call. I'm glad you called in.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on the show again someday.
Definitely have to have you guys on as well once I start doing more regular channels or shows or whatever. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys all have a good night. And you guys, you guys are now all officially my Mandela family, because that's how I'm just feeling today.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before you get off of here. Are you back to that name, or are you going to have the other channel? Is the other channel your permanent channel, or what's the deal there?
So this is my permanent channel, and I changed it. I just changed the name back to Jesus is Calling because I don't know. Well, actually, a couple of reasons why. I mentioned like when I think when I was on another show or something, Fizzy, so that like when she tried to type in the calling, it was like hard to find the channel. Not that I think people are doing tons of searches, but like that. And then I don't know, I kept like when I was on, I did a show with Mandela Health and stuff, and I was like putting, on StreamYard, you type in your name, and I was like, well, but Jesus is calling. Like I'm just kind of, I don't know, and I've been gravitating back to that, and I just feel like yeah, nope, I'm going with what I stuck with originally, and so there's no huge insight or anything like that, and I'm not ashamed of Jesus, type of deal. So
okay,
but, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go ahead and send the link in the comments or in the chat there to your channel, so everyone knows where to go to find your channel now.
Cool, thanks. Yep, it's appreciate it. I'm trying to get some more stuff out here and there, and like I said, Deb from Mandela Health and stuff, we're gonna try to do some more like just body and like taking care of yourself type videos, and maybe throw some stuff about trauma in there, because I was thinking about it when I was at this trauma training. Oh man, I think everybody who is awake to the Mandela effect is probably in some form or another, been somewhat traumatized by it. At least I know I was. But like we're all experiencing maybe some level of symptoms. I don't know, but
Yeah, well, I understand what you mean. I actually thought about changing my name to Capricornically Tweaking, and I just thought it was a bad idea. So
All right.
I think I'm just going to stick with this name.
just stick with the original. You're good. Oh, all right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I will talk to you all later.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Jess. Always good to hear from you. Definitely keep you and your husband in our prayers as always. Look forward to some video.
Thanks. Thank you guys. All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Take care. Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, good hearing from Jesse.
Yeah, an unexpected surprise. Pleasantly surprised.
I am now getting a link to send. Shoot. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm actually got a link to one of her videos here. So please excuse me. I'll share it in the chat. Paste. That's how you do it, I guess. And boom. There it is. That's the link to Jesus is Calling channel, or actually it's a link to one of her videos that'll take you to her channel, and then you can then subscribe to her if you want to. Check it out. Check that video out and whatnot. So there you go.
All right. Well, I take it we don't have any callers waiting.
Oh, we do.
Not at the moment.
You want to give the room a quick shout out there, Mr. Armour?
Oh,
is there any good comments to read?
You see what he's doing there? He's trying to end the show early. I know what he's trying to do.
No, I just thought we would hear from the chat room since we don't have a caller.
If there's any good comments, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. On which subject though? We were talking about a lot of stuff. She's talking about that brain.
Anything good. I'd like to hear. I guess I could go to chat myself. I am capable of that.
I'd like to talk a little.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'd like to talk a little bit about that brain stuff that she was talking about, the memory stuff, and cover some of that a little bit if you guys want to.
Well, I mean, good. What could we cover that she didn't, though?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we were talking about vaccines and whatnot. I am highly for vaccinations. I don't.
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just said I'm the opposite. I won't get or want nothing to do with vaccine.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, we were talking about that the other day, me and my wife was, and she was talking about how she notices the new outbreaks of like not chicken pox, but like smallpox and stuff like that. And we're talking about, before when people were vaccinating their kids and stuff, you didn't hear about smallpox was practically eliminated. It was almost all the way gone. Now it seems like, and this could be just a coincidence, but now it seems like that people are refusing to get their kids vaccinated and stuff. That seems like now we're having more outbreaks of smallpox. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's certain people figuring that's a good way to make people get their kids vaccinated.
I think it's there's a hidden agenda there, Hebrew, that you're not quite aware of. I mean, it's a very controversial subject, but I just actually saw a special about this last night on Marfugo's channel. He was covering it. Actually, he did a whole show about it, and um, it's kind of a big deal right now. This whole smallpox thing. The last time they actually did the vaccination for smallpox was back in 1972. So if you were born after 1972, you probably didn't get the vaccine as a child or a baby or whatever, because that's when they stopped doing it. Um, and then recently there was an explosion at this Russian CDC plant where it was one of the two known locations, I put in parentheses, air quotes, known locations of where they were storing the smallpox vaccine. And then the other one was at this place in Atlanta, Georgia. And it recently had a incident with this guy named Timothy Cunningham, who mysteriously went missing. And right before he went missing, he told his neighbor as he was leaving to have his wife delete his number off of his phone. And he apparently had um, and then was subsequently found later in the river where but he didn't have his shoes or his wallet or his keys or his dog that he was known for taking with him everywhere. And then the mainstream media put out these so-called reports that he supposedly had recently been passed up on a promotion, so he was really sad about that, and he decided to kill himself. But people weren't buying it. He was like he was a person in, like way high up in the CDC, and he had access to these smallpox vaccines or whatever. Then they made up another story about how he was recently that he was supposedly gay, and that he was recently turned down by somebody, I guess, like a possible love interest or whatever, that he had gotten, like he went through a breakup or something. They made up some type of thing about that, and to try to say that he killed himself, but people still aren't buying it. He was known for being a super happy-go-lucky guy. He had the whole world at his fingertips. He enjoyed his job. He enjoyed what he did. But this was happened within 2 weeks of each other, these two incidents, the explosion in the Russian facility, and then him suddenly going missing, where he's one of the people who is in charge of caretaking for this not the vaccines, but for the actual smallpox virus itself, where it is contained and stored. And the basically, make a long story short, then also on top of that, the government recently put in a order for vaccines, and the order amount was for one. I'm sorry, it was I forget. It was a multi-billion-dollar order. I can't remember the exact number. Just in the past month or so, they put in an order for $1.2 billion worth of this vaccine, which would essentially be able to vaccinate approximately 500 million. I'm sorry, yeah, 500,000 people, which isn't that far from the amount of people that would be that would be needed for the new world order, like for the National Guard people, and all the people that would have to control us, a pandemic should it occur. That would be just the right amount for what they would need to make sure all the people who are in charge of handling the situation would need. There really is a big deal conspiracy going on with smallpox right now.
Yep, I agree. I know about that story you're talking about too. Yep. Very interesting. I don't know what happened to Hebrew. Where'd he go?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if I hadn't just seen this special last night and gotten recently educated on it, I wouldn't have been able to tell you all that. It's kind of weird that it came up.
Weird or synchronistic.
Exactly.
There's always two sides to that coin, too.
Well, hey, we lost our host. I'll do a quick shout out. We got Robin Keneally in the house sporting the wrench. Vitally Helmlevsky. Rain on the Plains. Bree La Minimal. Dave East. Alone One. Naikas in the house. Jocko are sporting a wrench. Oh yeah, I forgot Preliminal sporting a wrench also. Data Junkie in the house. Oiler Greg sporting a wrench. Abba's girl. Hey, I didn't even see Abba's girl sneaking in here. Howdy, Abba's girl. Good to see you. Jesus is calling, of course. Called a little bit earlier. Go-kart Bob in the house. Lone One. I think I got everybody. Oh, Taekwondo. I believe they're still in the house. They haven't talked in a bit. Hopefully I got everybody.
Cool.
If not, sorry. Get you next time. Hebrew's back, I believe.
We got.
All right. Are you okay there, buddy? Did you walk away for a minute?
Yeah, I had to do something real quick.
All right. I'm not sure how much of my little spiel you heard or didn't hear, but
I was listening.
Okay.
But I got something kind of a conundrum type thing to say about it too. There are two flip sides of the coin. Did the drug companies obviously make money off of giving us those vaccines that are supposed to keep the disease away? But here's where the conundrum takes place. Are they making the vaccines to keep the diseases away? Or are they making the vaccines within the hope that we will get the disease and they will then have to make an antidote to help kill the vaccine? So in other words, they're actually giving you the disease through the vaccine itself and then turning around and saying, well, now we've got an antidote for the vaccine. The vaccination that kills the disease is actually the disease itself.
Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of times when they make these vaccines, they actually put a version of, specifically smallpox. They actually put a version of smallpox in the vaccine. The way that the vaccine works is they actually scratch your skin, and they put a little bit of smallpox on that exact portion of your skin, and what it is it gives your body a chance to fight it. And it's important when you get this particular smallpox vaccine that they put a bandage over it. You're not supposed to expose it or touch it or scratch at it, because then of course you could spread it around. And then what it does is it forms like a little bubble on your arm where they kind of scratch you and they put basically a little drop of the smallpox there, but it allows your body to build up a resistance without it getting into your main bloodstream, so that you can literally fight it, start building a resistance to it. That's the way that particular vaccine works. However, the whole reason why there's a controversy about vaccines in general is because we don't really know all the different things that they are putting in the vaccine. We are going on a trust element. You're trusting Big Brother, New World Order, the whatever you want to call them, deep state. I mean, you come up with your own name. You're trusting them to inject you with something that you don't really know exactly what you're getting, but they're insisting that everybody get it. And one of the there are some known things that we do know are in these vaccines, and one of them is the aluminum that we're always talking about that's used for mind control. I mean, it really is just unless you as far as getting your kids vaccinated, they literally force you to do it before certain vaccines before your kid can even get into public school. So you really don't have a choice there unless you're going to homeschool your kid. You got to get certain ones. But then there's extra ones that they want to give you on top of those that are the controversial ones, and some of them are. And there's people who account for autism is at a higher rate than ever, and a lot of people are attributing the fact that the autism is a direct result of some of these vaccines. Then on top of that, you add into the fact that the U.S. government has created a separate court for the CDC for people who want to sue after they get sick or some type of bad thing happens as a result of them receiving a vaccination. the proceedings take place in a private court where there is no public record for anybody to know exactly how many cases are being brought up. There's no way for us to know exactly what the rulings are if people are actually getting paid for when there is a problem, and the court system that they've created basically makes it impossible for the general public to know what's really going on as far as how many cases are being brought up and how the cases are being settled because they're held. It's basically you're not allowed to sue the drug manufacturer themselves. You have to sue the U.S. government, and the court system that they've created is all handled behind closed doors.
Ah,
So there's a lot going on there. It's something that I would highly suggest you really look into and do a little bit of research on, because it sounds like you may not know exactly what's going on with that.
oh no, I understand all that, what you just said, and then a whole lot more. And definitely, I encourage anybody to research everything and to question everything for sure. But the thing I was getting at was, are the governments, and I think this might have gone over you or under you, or it went past you somehow, is that did the governments create the viruses first, then having no choice but to create a vaccine for the viruses, or did they create the vaccines once they discovered there was a virus, hoping to put a little bit of that virus in you, and then creating a virus eliminator, so to speak, like an antidote of some sort to kill the virus that they actually injected into you themselves, is what I was talking. That's why I called it a conundrum. Or
I see what you're saying. I mean, that's. I mean, you have the mumps, you have the measles. I mean, a lot of these are vaccines that you get vaccinated for. So, smallpox, the flu. I mean, there's so many different ones. I don't even know the whole list, but I mean, the mumps have existed for years. The measles, chicken pox, all those different things that you get vaccinated for. I mean, it's not like they haven't existed for years. And I'm not saying that all viruses are 100% bad. It's just how much do you trust that you're getting what they say you're getting when you're getting these. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not really sure who created what when. I'm just saying that and I get that you're saying, are they giving you the poison just to turn around and hand you the cure? I
yeah,
get what you're trying to say, but I don't know that it's necessarily a case of that. It's just a case of being able to trust and believe that Big Brother is really looking out for your better interests, is what I'm kind of trying to say.
I want to know what Armor Up thinks about what I just said. If he can catch what I was throwing.
Well, yeah, but like Sadie said, there's no proof. It's a chicken and egg type thing.
Uh huh.
Either way, there is proof. You know, there is proof out there. I researched this a long, long time ago, the vaccination stuff. I mean, I probably got videos saved somewhere from a long time ago. But there's lots of proof from mothers who have had their children vaccinated and their children became autistic. So there's no doubt
Hmm.
that the vaccines tie into higher autism levels in children. But like Saji said, they invented this court system so that we never hear the results of what those mothers were exposing because it's all covered up with non-disclosure agreements. But either way, there's no doubt that their children were healthy, happy, fine, got a vaccine, and not long afterwards, immediately were autistic,
Hmm.
no longer leaving the house. I mean, so, and that's why I don't like vaccines. I did the research. So, like Saji said, just go start doing the research on vaccinations,
Okay.
and it's real easy to see why you don't want to be taking flu shots or any other kind of shot, in my opinion. And believe me, I have to argue with the VA doctors every year because they want me to take the flu shot and the pneumonia shot and this shot. And I'm like, no, it ain't happening. Forget about it. I got the father plan. I'm good. And I blow their mind
There you go.
the way it is. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I got the flu really, really bad about 15 years ago. I mean, it almost knocked me out. Like I was literally laying in the bed, had the high fever, coming out both ends, dehydrated. I mean, I was miserable for about 4 or 5 days. But you know what? In 15 years, I haven't had the flu again because my body fought a really tough one and it beat it, and that's how you beat the flu. You. I mean, when you get to an elderly age, like I don't know, into a geriatric level, you're putting yourself at risk. Yeah, you might catch the flu, but most people that are at that level are usually not out in the public sector on a regular basis. Like maybe they could catch it off of like a mailbox or a doorknob if they were out and about. But for the most part, it's people that kids that are in school, people that are in out, mingling with other people who are most susceptible to catch the flu. So
That's
yeah,
what
you're at higher risk of dying from it if you catch it when you get to like a geriatric age. That's why they encourage older people to get the flu shot. But at the same time, if you were in your mid 40s or 50s the last time and you got a heavy flu and you beat it, you probably have nature's flu shot, which that's what that is. So
yeah.
I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know about you or about Armor Up or anything, but every time I go to the grocery store, and whether they work or not, I don't know if it's a mental thing or whatever, but I use those sanitary wipes on my cart handles because it at the very least it makes me feel better knowing that I've cleaned them off, or at least I think that I've cleaned them off, in my head. So I always use them no matter what. Go to the store because never know who's touched those before you that's had the flu. But of course, that doesn't matter. I mean, you could touch a door handle on your way out or something and still get it. But I'm saying, like, I always use those things. I don't know about you guys. Maybe we're supposed to touch those door handles or those carts or something like that to build our immune system. So maybe I'm doing the wrong thing.
Well, no, I mean you want to practice good hygiene. You want to keep things antiseptic. I mean those are definitely good practices. But as far as vaccinations are concerned, you won't catch me getting a flu shot anytime soon. And unless and when if a government official shows up at my door with a hypodermic needle, best believe I'm going to shot it as soon as I possibly can.
Yeah. Armor, what do you think? Do you use those things at stores and stuff?
Well, no, and that sort of ties into something else that I think, and that's just what I think. But before I go there, on the flu shots, look at it this way. We know that Big Brother, whatever you want to call them, don't have our best interest at heart. Population thinning is one of their main objectives. And I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but I know here in Pennsylvania, I can't drive by any drugstore, Walmart half the time. Anywhere you go, you can get your free flu shot. Takes a matter
Ain't that the truth?
Now, if they want to give me that so bad that they're setting it up everywhere I go, that right there tells me I don't want it. Because I know they don't have my best interest at heart.
That's a great point, Armor. Thanks for bringing that up. I recognize that as well.
Free, no cost, just roll up your sleeve. So that right there, immediately red flag. Not that I already didn't do the research and do better anyhow, but even if I didn't do the research, that right there alone is a red flag enough to tell me I don't want none of that if you want to give me it so bad. Now, what was the other question? What was I going to? Oh, the napkin, the sanitary thing.
Sandy wipes.
I think personally, this is just what I think because I grew up a long time ago. But I mean, back in our day, we played in dirt. I mean, we made mud pies. There was no sandy wipes, and I think that's 90% of how all this crap is spreading so rampantly. Because everyone is so sanitized. Your immune system never has a chance to build up to anything because you've kept it sanitized. Sanitized is not good. It don't hurt to get a little germs. It don't hurt to eat a little dirt once in a while. It don't hurt to maybe forget to wash your hands because you can't and eat your sandwich anyhow. It's all right. You need to build up an immune system. We built them up as a child. We didn't have any trouble. We didn't have all these diseases as a child because we built up our immune system. We weren't taught all this paranoid schizophrenic nonsense about you're going to catch the flu because you touched the cart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you do good, you'll build up an immune. I got sick as a dog last year for a week. Missed a week's work. I never miss work.
I remember that.
Flu. But it's all right. I'm here. It's fine. My immune system did it. It's cool. But so no, I don't use sandy wipes. I don't even wash my hands every time I eat my lunch when I'm driving in the truck. But I'm all right because I got an immune system. So that's what I think about the sandy wipes and the flu shots and any other shot. Let God's natural plan work. He give us an immune system. It'll all work fine. Don't buy into the crap that they're selling you.
Couldn't agree with you more, Armor. I mean, generally speaking, you want to keep a clean environment in your home. You don't want to let it get outrageously gross, but I totally agree with him in the sense that you don't want to be out there being a germaphobe either.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess I use them because they're there and because you hear things sometimes. It's like, oh, I guess I
But
might.
just anything, like you said, anything that they're encouraging you to do. For instance, those wipes are free and they're out there. The chemicals on the
Right.
on the sandy wipes are probably more harmful to you than
Yeah.
whatever the last person left on the cart that touched it. I'm just saying.
That's
Exactly.
That's very true. I never really. I don't know. It's just a habit that I feel. You're right. We didn't have those.
It's just the brainwashing that you've been put through. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's it's an indoctrinated thing that you. Every indoctrination are you aware of? I mean, I'm sure there's indoctrinations that I'm still guilty of that I'm not aware of yet either. I mean, you wake up a little bit more every day. So today was that lesson, sir.
yeah, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you got to call it for what it is. It's just we've been programmed to think that way. You know, stop is basically it. Wake up to that lie also. You know, because that's what it is.
Like,
It's a lie.
it just seems like also no matter where you go, like everywhere you go, you see the Purell dispensers at the doctor's office or at like the counter at Walmart or at the deli counter or something like that. You always see those things no matter where you go for your use, and stuff.
Exactly. That's why it should immediately, anyone that's awake, that should immediately trigger the red flag, just like the free flu shot signs everywhere. That should tell you this can't be good. If mainstream's pushing it for free, well, then there's no way it could even possibly be any type of good.
I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing while I was reading the comments and Jocko. Jocko. What is he saying? He said something about. Let me scroll down a little bit. That was hilarious what Mr. Jocko said. He's like, 2001. Last time I got sick, it was 2002. Eat those goddamn beans. Just saying. I don't even know what the conversation was, but the end of what he was saying was just hilarious. Yeah, beans. They're good for the heart. You know what the rest of the song is.
Alrighty then.
What did you see that comment? I rarely get sick. I credit the beans I ate. Okay, that was the first part of it, and then he goes down to say, in 2000, in 2000, he got sick in 2002. Eat those goddamn beans. That's just what I'm saying. Oh man, Jocko, you just made my night, dude. That was hilarious. So the point is, eat beans. They're good for you. Okay, I'm just saying.
Well, now you got me looking at the comments, and I see other interesting ones on there too.
I gotta mute myself a second, guys. Hold on.
All right. Data Junkie says a few days ago I saw 4 kids riding their bikes back from the neighborhood playground, wondering for a sec if I shifted because they were kids playing outside.
That's a good one too. Yeah, but were they wearing helmets? Because nowadays, you know how it is. Oh, you gotta wear your helmets and paddings. Hell, we never even heard the term helmets when we rode our bikes. We didn't have helmets or paddings or anything like that. We scraped our knee, we got up and we rode our bikes. We slapped a little bit of dirt on it and it was okay. You know?
Right?
What was that video we were watching? I think Sagittarically you were there. I don't think you were there. We were watching the video of the A-Team where they jumped the van through that sign and then they jumped the van again. And we were watching the video. None of those guys in that van, by the way, were wearing seatbelts. Do you remember that, Sag?
Yeah, I remember commenting on why they weren't. They're ramping through a billboard. None of them have their seatbelts on. Yeah.
They were just flipping everywhere. But I love that comment he said about the beans. I don't know why. It cracked me up. And then I believe you said that you love beans, God's Armor. You love beans?
Oh yeah, I love beans. Most beans. I don't like green beans, but I like baked beans and lima beans and chili beans and kidney beans. I like most beans.
I don't like garbanzo beans.
It's a funny thing at the reunion every year. We always laugh because there's always like 3 or 4 bean dishes because it seems the whole couple family seems to like beans. There's always plenty of beans at the reunion.
Yeah, it does seem like that's one of those things. And you know what? I recently found out that
Far away
as far as GMO goes, like the genetically modified foods, the obvious one we all know about is corn. That's like one of the biggest ones. But the one that most people aren't aware of is beans. Beans absorb more of the Monsanto than any other produce or whatever that's out there. So if you don't buy anything else that's non-GMO or quote unquote organic, even though you have to trust that they're slapping an organic label on there that it really is organic, you don't really know for sure that it is or not. But if you're going to pay the extra 50 cents or something for something organic, beans is the one food item that you should either not eat or go for the organic. Just thought I'd throw that out there, guys.
I don't buy nothing organic. I see the word organic on there. I said, what are they trying to do? Kill me? I want chemicals in my food, damn it.
All right, well, to each his own.
I seriously, man, I'm not going to pay that extra 50 cents or that extra $1 or whatever for something that says it's organic. If I want to eat bananas that's been sprayed in 7 dust or whatever silver chemicals or whatever other kind of chemicals they spray in those vegetables, I'll wash them off and eat it. I don't care.
Your logic escapes me, brother. You'll sanitize the cart, but willingly eat the poison food. You crack me, dude. You crack me.
That is funny.
Well, I'm just saying.
He's taking his kid to get the vaccine, and he's getting himself a flu shot, and wiping off the cart, eating Monsanto beans.
So let me ask you this: does the organic beans make you toot less?
No, they just make your farts more organic. They're more
They'll
natural and wholesome.
more. Yeah, they'll make you toot more.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. Well,
Talk about chemical warfare.
But seriously, to speak about organic, since that is what I do, I drive truck for a giant co-op that delivers nothing but organic vegetables and fruits to the DC area. And just our co-op, now I know there's, like you said, you can put a sticker on anything and say it's organic. You have to pretty much trust the source. But our co-op is actually 100% organic. Most of our farmers are Amish, who have never ever used any type of chemicals, and everyone else in the co-op, we have very strict rules. Everything's checked very heavily. So when some stuff you buy it's organic really is organic, and that's my suggestion. Even if you don't want to trust organic, I mean, I know everyone don't have Amish in their areas, but if you do, you're foolish not to go buy your vegetables from the Amish people. And if you don't, surely there's farmer markets around. And most of the old school farmers still do things organically.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them. So.
And the last thing is, since I'm doing public service announcements, the other thing that you really should try to avoid is your mainstream cereals, like your Captain Crunch, your Cheerios, your Corn Flakes. All those are super heavily modified, super heavily doused with not good.
The ones that taste the best, right?
Yeah, the ones that if you're going to eat breakfast cereal, look for the organic ones. I'm just saying, either that or just don't eat it, because that's really where they're hitting you the hardest. That's where they're really getting you in the gut, so to speak.
But also remember this, at least for my final point on the food subject, because I can't afford to buy the good stuff always either, and I like my cereal and I like stuff, and so remember this: there are verses, especially one that says, we could swallow poison and it can't hurt us, and I think that verse may play a lot more nowadays and mean a lot different things than people expected. So the main thing to do is whatever you're eating, wherever it came from, take a moment and thank the Father for having it and ask him to bless it. And then it don't matter what the enemy put in it. It ain't going to hurt you anyhow.
Good point.
I do.
Very good point. You can't ever go wrong with that logic.
Absolutely, man. I always pray over my food, but now you've given me a reason to not only pray over it, but to also make sure it's safe, I guess, so to speak.
I mean, it wouldn't even probably be a bad idea to include that in the prayer, right, Armor? I mean, but whatever, please free me from whatever toxins may or may not exist.
Basically, when I eat, and again, there's no, set way to pray. I'm not saying repeat what I say, but just an example, and it's not the same every time, but usually when I eat, I thank the Father for whoever made it, whether we're at home and my wife made it, or if we're at a restaurant, I thank the Father for whoever created this meal for me. I thank him for having it. I ask him to bless it and to make it nutritious for me. And that's basically it. I mean, that's basically what I do. I'm just thankful for it. First of all, I'm thankful for whoever humanly made it and ask them to be blessed. Then I'm thankful for the fact that I get to eat it and ask him to bless the food that I'm about to eat and make it nutritious. I mean, that counteracts anything the enemy can do.
There you go, man. That sounds good.
Very true. Very true.
I'm going to start praying that way from now on, man. I'll tell you what. I'm the opposite of what Dan would be. Dan probably is one of those neutral grain, tree hugging organic guys. He probably goes for the organic foods, right?
Yeah, probably. And another thing I like to do when I eat. And this sort of ties back in. I mean, this could get off on a whole different rabbit hole, so we won't go too deep into it. But I just like to take a moment and remember Jesus. Remember that his body was broken for me. Remember that his blood was spilled for me. Because I think communion is something we should do every time we eat, not just something we do 2 or 3 times a year or once a week or something. Not something where we take a cracker and a little shot of grape juice and make some ritual out of it. I don't think that's what Jesus meant. I think
You know what? We talk. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I think Jesus meant when he said, "When you do this," meaning when you break bread, when you eat, remember me. I don't think it was supposed to be a ritual. I think it was supposed to be something to remind you every time you receive sustenance from the Father and eat. Remember Jesus and what he did for you.
Well, we talk about synchronicities on here a lot, and this week in particular, I did manage to catch your Wednesday word, and that was definitely a good message, by the way, and also on different programs that I subscribe to and listen to, some of them have call-ins, and some of the different call-ins that the callers, the subject came up, and they're totally unrelated shows. They weren't all like on this one show where it was just a reoccurring theme. But one of the things that I heard I kept hearing over and over this message: whenever you have something that is bad, or you feel some type of threat, or some type of I don't know, just anything negative coming into your life, remember to denounce it, and to say that you're denouncing it in the name of Jesus, because that's the message that I kept hearing over and over and over again this week. And then you just saying that reminded me of it, and I wanted to bring that up. That's the reoccurring message I kept hearing.
And that's interesting to spin off of that a little bit. I think that's another thing that isn't understood fully by a lot of people, is praying in the name of Jesus. Because, and I do it too. It's just, again, we've all been indoctrinated with things that we can't break or haven't broken yet. You know, we all say, "In Jesus' name I pray, amen." And we think that's what it means to pray in the name of Jesus. But what it really means, when he said to pray anything you ask in my name, you know, which is basically where most people get that, where we're supposed to ask in his name, we pray in the name of Jesus. Back then, it's more like the authority. See, it's like back then, a king would send someone out with a message. They would say, and then they would go to deliver the message. They'd say, "I come in the name of the king," the authority. It don't really mean using Jesus's name to end a prayer. It means using the authority Jesus gave us to bring that prayer into being. I don't know the right words to use, but it isn't saying, "In Jesus' name I pray, amen." That's not a bad thing to do. I'm not saying stop doing it. I still do it sometimes. But understand the true meaning of what he meant when he said, "Anything you ask in my name, anything you ask in my authority." He is the authority above all authorities. He's been given all authority on heaven and earth. And he give it to us through the Spirit. He asks that we be one like he is one. So when we pray or ask something in his name, it means with his authority. We are co-heirs, co-rulers with Christ. We have authority. That's what it means. In my name means in my authority. We do things with the authority of Jesus, not necessarily with the name. Know what I'm getting at? Not that
I get what you're trying to say. It's literally like it's getting caught up on the "in my name" part. That's what you're trying to emphasize on, right?
Right. In his name means in his authority, not in his name. Not it don't mean what we're indoctrinated to think it means without thinking. We just think pray in his name. In Jesus' name I pray. We're good. But that ain't what it means. It means in his authority, the authority of Jesus Christ. We're given that authority. We need to use it. That's what my whole channel is about. It's trying to
Wow.
wake people up to the fact of who we are and start doing it. Because that's the only way this nonsense is going to stop. Father loves using us.
Mhm.
We've got to do what we're supposed to do. Quit waiting for Jesus to come back and do what needs to be done so he does. That's what it boils down to.
All right. Well, maybe that's why I kept hearing that message, just because I needed to say that now so that you could give me that clarification.
Yeah, maybe. Because it sort of popped up into me as soon as you said it. I was like, yeah, let's talk about that a minute. So
Yeah.
the Spirit knows what it's doing.
Yeah. Every time I start a prayer, I always start off by saying in the name of the Father. And of course, that's all part of how when I was a Catholic, or when I practiced the Catholic prayer, that's how we all started off all of our prayers, is we would do the sign of the cross and say, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Well, we did the Trinity when we started all of our prayers. But basically now when I pray, I still say that first part. I still say in the name of the Father whenever I start off each and every prayer.
Well, see, the good thing to remember is we don't know how to pray. So it don't matter what we say. It matters what we intend. The Holy Spirit interprets our prayer to the Father. We're told we don't know how to pray. And it ain't told we'll learn how to pray. No, we're straight out told we don't know how to do it and basically never will. So just pray however you want to pray. Do the best you can with your stupid human stuff. And trust the Holy Spirit to bring the intention of what you mean to the Father. Because that's what matters. The words don't mean nothing. The Father likes to hear us speak to him. I'm not saying don't speak, but I'm saying they don't mean anything. We're told we don't know how. We're told we don't know what to say. We don't know how. So trust the Spirit to get your intention across. It's our intention that matters. Just like when I asked for prayers for Dan's friend, I don't remember his name, but it don't matter. The Spirit knows who I'm talking about. The Spirit will make sure the Father understands what I'm trying to say. I don't need to know his name. And that's why when people ask for prayer and then other people say, well, can you give us specifics? That bothers me because you don't need specifics. You need to know that they need prayer. That's all you need to know. Spirit will take care of the rest. Pray for them. It knows what they need. Father knows what they need. Our little busybody minds don't need to know what they need. We already know what they need. They need prayer. Don't matter what it's for. You don't have to know what it's for. Just pray. Father knows what it's for.
I have one other thing I wanted to bring up, Armor. Why I kind of got you. I wanted to kind of pick your brain about it, and I remembered it now that I'm thinking about it while you were talking. Another thing that I heard I came across this week was the subject, and this is kind of new to me as far as like really knowing it. And I mean, it's not like I've never heard of it before, but it seems like it's been coming up more and more often on these channels and outlets that I listen to. And it's like the mediums that are able to help people talk to loved ones who are passed away. It seems like this is kind of like this thing is kind of like become like a hot issue again. Like people are really out there trying to say that they're really doing this and that it's a real thing that people were able to do. And there's a particular guy I was listening to. He's called the what is he called? He's called the prophetic lawyer or something like that. He happens to be he's got like a Ivy League college accreditation. He used to be a lawyer for the government handling like brain injuries and things of that nature. And so he's like really he's very renowned, and he was talking about how he has the ability to to like he to speak to, like he'll have like he'll be sitting like on a train next to somebody or in a plane, and he's flying, and all of a sudden their great aunt that recently passed away is literally trying to get him to send a message to so and so sitting next to him because he's got this great ability or whatever. And and then he goes so far as to quote Bible verses where they taught where I meant to write them down, and I don't have them wrote down. I feel bad now because I feel like I'm just kind of half saying this, but it's just something that recently came up, and I really feel like a lot of people fall privy to this. But he tried to make it sound like there's Bible verses where they actually make reference to being able to have these kind of prophetic relationship where you're able to speak to the people who have passed, and I think people are exploiting it. And I just wanted to know what are your thoughts on the subject, just in general? Is this a real thing? Can people really do this, or are all these people just making this stuff up?
Well, that's an interesting question, and it could get very deep. But basically, can they do it? Absolutely. Having dabbled in the dark side, the stuff works. Are they hearing from loved ones? Absolutely not. They're hearing from different demons, basically minions. There's different levels of demons, but yeah, they're hearing mostly from little low level minions. They're not hearing from real loved ones, and I mean that's what I believe because Jesus said the dead know nothing. So if the dead don't know anything, why do I want to hear from them anyhow? First of all, they don't know anything. So they don't know nothing. They don't do nothing. Jesus said they're asleep is another way he puts it. Lazarus was just sleeping. You're just asleep. Sleeping people don't know anything. But so I think, can they do it? Absolutely. There is real power on the bad side. Do they realize they're tapping to the bad side? Maybe not all the time. Is there Bible things that point to being allowed to do that? If there is, it's got to be Old Testament. And we already know what I think about the Old Testament. If Jesus didn't say it, I ain't doing it. And Jesus said, do not seek out these type of people. So if Jesus told me not to do it, I don't care if 100 places in the Old Testament it said to do it, because I go by what Jesus said. And I know Jesus said, don't do that. Don't seek out those type of, people. Again, however, though, I will say, I never limit the Holy Spirit. I don't know what it's going to do. Could the Holy Spirit appear to someone as a dead grandmother to comfort them through a bad time? Possibly. I don't know. I can't argue with that. So, but I think it would have to be something like more on a personal level. And I think we talked about this once before, a little bit maybe. So, first of all, I don't know what the Holy Spirit can do. Could it show up in the form of a deceased loved one to help somebody? Highly possible. Father's way out of a box for me. I don't ever try to put him in a box. I ain't saying he can't do something. But as far as most of the mainstream people doing it for a living, well, then I think they're personally tapping to the wrong side, because I don't think the Father makes a living out of doing it that way. I think it may happen if it needs to happen.
And then also they can these minions, these demons, the so-called the not who we really think they are beings. They're even can be so clever as to actually know certain or be able to provide certain details, because that's where the hook, line, and sinker comes in. All of a sudden he says, yeah, she's wearing a blue gown, and she has a purple a purple necklace, and she's wearing a gold watch. Yeah, that's exactly how she's carrying a silver purse, like just like she used to. That's right. Is that how they know? Like, is that how they get this? Is that how? Yeah.
Well, I hate, I don't mean to step on any toes here, speak of, but a lot of times that's just a matter of being able to read people and be able to guess. If you're a good reader of people, their expressions and their thoughts and whatnot, and uh, you can pretty well guess a lot of that stuff. But certainly, if it's a demon disguising itself as a loved one, a demon's going to know just as much as the loved one's going to know, simply because they know everything that you know. You know what I'm trying to get at. Now I know Armor Up what has a few words to say on the subject, but that's my opinion about it.
Well, they're not omniscient. So let's not, I mean, demons don't know everything. The enemy don't know everything. They're not omniscient, but they're observant. So they've been observing. That's why they know what they know. It's not because they're just magically omniscient. They just have a great network. I mean, the evil network is awesome. They talk amongst themselves. They know everything that each other know about anybody. I think that's how they're able to do that. Like when she's in a blue dress, because they've seen her in a blue dress. One of them has at one time or another. Again, this is all just speculation on my part. But like I said, I just know we're told not to do it. In fact, should I go? Yeah, let's just go there. It's another thing.
All right,
about,
yeah. It was just it really kind of it's just something I heard this week, and it really kind of actually I take offense to it because I feel like they're preying on people when they're weak and they're susceptible. And the reason I
Right.
kind of take it personally is I know I have my mom passed recently a couple years ago, and my aunt, her sister, I know that she kind of halfway believes in that stuff, and that she follows those kind of channels, and I try to make her understand that it's not a good thing, that's not the direction you want to go. But she I know that she doesn't share it with me because she knows I'm against it. But I know I'm almost afraid that she's giving these people her energy, and may even be going so far as to she's giving them money. And I don't know for sure that she is. I just worry that that might be the case, and it kind of irks me a little bit.
and also, I see a lot of people in the chat saying about good things happening when that happens. And again, I'll go right back to the fact that, of course, they can appear good and they can appear as light. That's exactly what we're told they're going to do. They're going to show up and help. Like I've said before, you think Satan or the enemy won't save a baby to destroy a whole family? You think he won't cure cancer to wipe out a whole generation? I mean, he's more than happy to do quote unquote good looking things to deceive everybody. He's been doing it for millennia. So just because it feels good or seems to have a good outcome at the moment doesn't mean it's good by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, that's really the main reason why I brought it up. Is that I it just it's something personal for me that I don't buy into, and I just feel like it's something that it seems like it's becoming more and more popular just as of recent. It's coming up on more and more shows that I normally listen to.
And we got to remember, I think that's because, again, in my opinion, we're at the end times. The enemy's ramping up. He knows he's about done. He, like I said, he don't know everything, but he knows his time is short. He can read the signs just like the rest of us can. He knows time's running out. So yeah, they're definitely ramping up every aspect of everything on their side. So yeah, it's going to be a lot more prevalent right now. It's going to start becoming more and more popular, along with a lot of other stuff. I mean, it's game on. He knows it. I wish more of us would figure it out and get on board because we need help.
Yeah, the other one that seems to be coming up a lot more is this astral projection and being able to 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 travel outside of your body and crazy things like that. I don't know why people were so intrigued by that, but they literally try to wholeheartedly convince you that they're really doing it.
Well, because
You really can. I've done it.
Yeah, I was
So
getting ready to say that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can speak to astral projection. I've done it. I was in Germany and astral projected back home and flipped my poor mother out because I told her everything she was wearing, what my brothers were doing. Sort of, yeah. I shouldn't have did it because I freaked my mom out real bad. I forgot how superstitious she was. But
All right. Well, okay. So that one isn't as far fetched as I think it is. I'm a skeptic at heart. That's all. It's I want to. I'm that guy who wants to believe, but you have to prove it to me first.
well, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. That's what most of us don't understand unless you've done it. What they do works. That's why we did what we do. You get power. You
Yeah.
can do what they claim to be able to do. It's not good. I'm not saying I would ever astral project now because now I understand where that power was coming from. I understand which side. Well, I already knew which side I was on at that time. Who am I kidding? I was willfully serving the enemy. I enjoyed the power. I enjoyed what you're able to do. And that's why they do it. Believe me, it works. Everything they claim to be able to do works. You can summon demons. You can curse people. You can astral project. You can do all that stuff.
yeah.
It's all real, but don't do it because that's the enemy, you know.
It's leading you to the
It all
path.
works.
And that's the part they always conveniently leave out of the conversation.
Because 90% of them don't know. They think it's white magic. They think they believe all the crap. You know what I mean? A lot
White
of them,
magic,
believe me, the corrupts know. The ones that have been doing it a while, they know who they were serving. But most of your novices, they get a little white magic book and they start doing little spells and they think they're helping someone and they don't understand. Or they're like me. The astral projection was just because I wanted to do it. You know, it wasn't really accomplish anything. I just wanted to do it. So I did it. But
I used to
good.
do that when I was younger. I would not so much astro project, but I could. I was dating this one girl one time, a long time ago. I was about, I don't know, 15, 16 years old or something like that. And I used to dabble in what they call the quote unquote white magic. Well, white magic is bullshit. It's a veil that they put over it. They are calling it white magic, but it's all the same thing. White magic, black magic, it don't matter. It's all the same. It's all dark magic. But so I would do it. I would tell her exactly what she was wearing, exactly what she was doing, and exactly what she had done that day or was going to do that day. And I'd be right on the nose just about every time with it. And it would freak her out. She would freak out and hang up on me and then call back later and was just like, wow, you freaked me out, dude. So I know this stuff works. I know where he's coming from with this stuff. Not as much. I wasn't as much deep into it as you were, Armor, but I was into it to the point where I could pretty much predict what was going to happen and tell people what they were doing over the phone. Like I never saw, like we didn't have, phones like we do now where there's FaceTime and you could see what they're doing, whatever. I'm talking about a phone like a regular, you know what I mean, like a regular telephone. Like
You mean one with a cord on it?
yeah, one. Well, I mean, we had cordless phones, but you know what I mean. But I could do that. I did that. I dabbled in that for about a year and a half, maybe or so, until I realized just exactly how evil it was, because I would have things in my bedroom turn off and on, and I'd have the string on my fan move all by itself, and little things like I'd see things floating across the room, and I said, whoa, I better stop this. I stopped it and started going back to church, but wasn't really, I won't say religious, but I wasn't really into following Jesus until years later. But and I'm still trying to stay with that path. I'm still young and new to it. But like you said, I was into that whole thing too. but I wasn't as deep as you were. Like I couldn't make a Ouija board get up and dance or float across the room or whatever. And I couldn't astral project, but I could predict and see what was happening, what they were wearing, and stuff like that. Just enough to freak people out. And like you said, it's a lot of fun. And when you start having fun with it, you realize that you have power. But you never really have true power. It's never. You know where I'm getting at. Armor Up. I mean, do you?
Well, yeah, it's all a lie and an illusion. That's what he does best. He'll give you the illusion and the lie that you're getting what you want, and he'll give you what you want. We forget this earth's his. This physical crap, these cars, these houses, these clothes, all this crap is his. So if you serve him, he'll give all of it you want. If you want girls, he'll give you girls. You want money, he'll give you money. You want cars, he'll give you cars. He'll give you whatever you want, as long as you're mindlessly serving him, whether you realize it or not, because that's all that matters.
And
You're feeding the side. That side's winning. Whether you're battling for that side or not means nothing. It's what you're putting out that matters. So yeah.
also, I wanted to say that Data Junkie said when you were talking about knowing what she was wearing and when she went that way that day, talk about stalker. Dang, LOL.
Yeah. Yeah,
He also says John was carried up in the spirit. It's real, just the cultists seem to use it to explore realms of hell.
yeah.
Right on the plane says, "Oh goodness," and this is at Armor Up. Wow, I never thought you would have had that experience. Definitely want to hear more. So that was when you were first talking about it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, I've had lots of experiences. I was full blown on the enemy side. I used to cut upside down crosses in myself for the bloodletting. Most rituals need blood, especially the big one. You want a demon, it's going to cost you some blood. But anyhow.
And Euler Greg says, I avoid all that stuff because you have to drop your shields. The stuff can get in you don't want.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I say I wouldn't do it anymore. I know better.
No.
I could easily do it, but why would I now? But I want to address Naikis's comment. Was the miracles Christ performed black magic, and is seeing Mandela effect changes caused by black magic? No. Jesus did not perform any type of magic. Jesus performed the same stuff we could perform if we just understand the power we have with the Spirit. There's no magic involved. It's power. Power from the Father, power from the Spirit. Jesus did what he did because of the Spirit. He tells you that himself. The Spirit enabled him to do what he does. That's why he left, so we could have it. That's why he said, greater things than these will you do. People don't even understand that verse. They think it means we're going to heal more people physically, or raise someone from the dead physically, or help a blind person see physically. And I don't think that's what Jesus meant at all. Not that that don't happen. I'm not saying real miracles don't happen and can happen, but that ain't what he meant. He meant we're going to do greater things than he did because we're going to do it on a spiritual level. We're going to help the spiritually blind people to see. We're going to help the spiritually deaf people to hear. We're going to help the spiritually dead people to rise. That's what he meant when we're going to do greater things than him. Greater things than him means greater than physical. It means spiritual, which is exactly what me and other people is trying to do, is to open spiritual eyes, open spiritual ears, raise the spiritually dead back to life, just like the dry bones story. That's what it's all about. It ain't about physical. Physical is nothing. This whole earthly realm is useless. Like I said, I'm not saying people don't get healed and healing ain't a good thing, but why does it matter? It's physical. Heal somebody's soul, heal somebody's spirit. That's great. That's going to last forever. Healing somebody's cancer or broken toe or broken leg is only going to last as long as they're alive. It ain't going to last forever.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, how many? I mean, like for instance, Hebrew right now, he just hurt his toe, and he's talking about how just today, it's already feeling a little bit better and a little bit less purple than it was just a day or two ago. But I tell you what, you injure yourself. A lot sometimes it takes a while for it to heal, but when you suffer a real loss or a real trauma to your soul or to your spirit, like say you go through a divorce, or someone you really care about passes away, or um, you have a really bad altercation with somebody that you really thought cared about you, and all of a sudden you find out they've betrayed you. Those things, they really that kind of thing. It could take you decades to get over. Like I know it took me almost 5, 6, 7 years for my spirit to bounce back from when I got divorced. Like for me to really start to feel like I could be like good and ready to just be like just to bounce back from it spiritually. Like it really took its toll on me. And when you said that, that's the first thing that I thought of, is like how you can recover from a minor injury so much easier than you can recover from a major setback spiritually.
Yeah, and again, I want to iterate. I'm not saying don't pray for each other on the physical level. You know, I pray for my friend Hebrew's toe to heal quicker and that he don't have pain. But just realize that's not the big thing. We're out to save the people's souls and spirit, not their physical body. But it's good to pray for each other for healing. We're told to pray for each other. So I'm not saying don't do it. Just remember we have a greater mission out there. Don't stop there, is what I'm saying. Yes, pray for each other, lift each other up, help each other, but don't stop there. That's just step one. That's just becoming a part of the body and doing what we need to do. But that's by far from where we stop. That's just the beginning. Long term, like Robin says, yes, long term. That's just short term.
I guess the last thing I want to say, kind of to close out this subject, and to kind of like put a cap on it or whatever, is um I noticed, like, not so much just like in general people that are out and about and that you meet along the way or at work or in public or whatever, but I'm talking more about people that are loved ones that I care about, like my daughter, my wife, not that I'm currently married, but my ex-wife, my brother, my dad, my uncle. It just seems like it's the things that we're talking about here, the just the really praying for their soul and their spirit and their well-being. It just seems so like the relationships that I have. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this or if it's just me. It seems like they're so much more tenuous, that the people that are the most indoctrinated that you care about are the hardest ones to reach out to, or to relate these kind of thoughts to. For instance, it just seems like the last couple of times I've talked to my uncle, or the last few times I've talked to my brother, it just seems like there's this like underlying tension. I can't really put my finger on it. I can't really describe it, but I know that he's caught up in the everyday struggle of just trying to go to work every day, pay his bills, provide for his family, and he's caught up in the rat race, and he's caught up in the superficial, and he's caught up in all that. And for me to even think about just saying out loud, you know what, brother, I'm really going to I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to I really hope that you're able to find strength, in the Father, or something like that, to say that to him. If I was to actually say that, he would look at me like I was like I had three heads or something. Like he wouldn't even understand where that came from. It's almost like it's impossible to even interject that into his mentality at this point, when he is just certain family members I have that are just so far into the other side of the spectrum. Is anybody else experiencing that, or is this just me?
Well, what I'd say to that is, first of all, we got to remember that we can't save anyone or make anyone change their mind about anything. So don't worry so much about telling him that, but tell the Father that. The Father, the Spirit's the one that's going to change him. So whether he knows you're praying that for him, or whether you ever say that to him, say it to the one that matters. Say it to the Father. Ask him to change his heart. You see what I'm saying? Don't worry about
Yeah, I totally understand. It just seems like there's so much tension underlying. Like I can't really relate to him on any level the way that I used to, because I see things so much differently than he does. The truths that I'm aware of are he's totally oblivious to all of it. I'm just using that as one example, but it just seems like there's such a great divide between the people that I'm talking about people that I actually love and care about and have grown up with and known my whole life. Now that I've kind of like wiped this like veil away and I see things for what they really are, like just like when I was just trying to tell Heber earlier about vaccines and he hadn't heard about, he really wasn't up on the whole conspiracy about the vaccines. But when I'm just trying to talk to anybody about anything that's real or truth or I'm using that one particular thing as an example, but it just seems like there's such a great, like it's like you're speaking a totally, like there's woke language and there's unwoke language, and it's like it's impossible to even try to find like it's almost like they if you even start to put in it's the inkling of any type of truth into a conversation with somebody that is far away from it, it's like you're speaking a totally foreign language to them.
Absolutely. And that's exactly basically what Jesus said was going to happen. That's the way it works. It is a foreign language to them. They don't understand. Darkness can't understand the light, period. Not through anything we do. Just like I would never, the only reason I came back is because the Father called me back, not because a man said something. You know what I mean? We can't do anything to help the people other than pray for them and slip the truth in at the right situations. But pray for their eyes to be open. We can't open their eyes. No matter how much truth we tell someone, we're not the ones that are ever going to make them see it. That's what we got to remember.
So when we're in those situations, like to say I'm at a family gathering and I'm watching the charade, I should just play along for that moment in the charade, just kind of take off the just kind of play, just kind of, because it makes no sense to try to awaken to or try to use any of this. It's almost like I have to I have to kind of temporarily play along. You know what I mean? Like even though I know that this isn't the way it really is, let's just go ahead and go through these motions and get through this dinner and just nod my head and agree for the time being, even though I know that it's not really the way it is, because it makes no sense to resist at that exact moment and to try to proclaim 9/11 was an inside job is totally not going to happen.
Well, I don't know. You got to feel out every situation as it is. You know what I mean? Should we pretend? Look at it this way. Is it going to do any good? Is it going to help anyone if you bring it up? Or is it just going to cause stress and is it going to feed the wrong side?
Exactly.
Up feeds the wrong side. Even though we're trying to do good, it could feed the wrong side. It's all about, all I can say is it's all about following the Spirit. If you're meant to be quiet about it at that moment in time, you'll know. If you're meant to bring something up, you'll know. That's the way I do. It's all about the Spirit. That's what we keep forgetting. We're wondering if we should do something. I don't know if we should do something. Only the Spirit knows what we should do every given situation. Period.
That's good advice. I agree with that. I just find myself recently, I haven't really spent a lot of time with my family for quite a while, and a lot, I've had a lot of progression since the last time I was had the opportunity, and just recently opportunities have been presenting themselves where I'm spending more time with my, hanging around different family members that I haven't had a chance to be around, and on one hand, I want to kind of like bring up, I want to share different truths and different knowledges and different things. And on the other hand, I find that it's it's really not in the best interest of rekindling a relationship for you to kind of go there, even to even remotely go in that direction. It's like, but at the same time, they want to know, well, what have you been up to? So then I tell them, well, I've been doing this podcast lately. Oh, well, what's it about? That's the very next question. Well,
Yeah.
let me, can I listen to it? I'd like to check it out. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea.
And I think that's one of the hardest things that we struggle with. And I think that's why Jesus talked a lot about it, about taking our thoughts captive and about the power of our words and all that kind of stuff he talked about, is because we tend to want to say things. Believe me, people, believe me, the Holy Spirit has shut me up way more than people realize, especially when I'm doing these live shows, because I want to say something, but I'll know that it's not the right time. I'll know that all it's going to do is people aren't going to understand it, so it isn't going to do any good. And not trying to say that I'm wiser or anything else. I'm just saying from my experiences, there's things that I want to tell people, but the Spirit says, not yet. You got to trust that Spirit. Not that I'm saying I'm the only one that knows these things. I'm just saying this is the way it works, at least for me. And I had to learn the hard way. For a while, I just said stuff and it never ended well. Hate videos were made and I should have listened to the Spirit, but I didn't. I thought, well, people need to hear it. But no, the Spirit knows when people need to hear what they need to hear. And it's one of the hardest things, at least for me, to learn to control is our tongue. Learn to share what it wants shared, not what we think needs shared. Because we don't know what needs shared. We might think we know, but we don't know. But the Spirit knows. So trust it. And it's very hard to do. At least for me it is. Because we want to help people. We want to tell them the truth. But sometimes they're not ready for that truth. That truth would be a big setback instead of a help forward. So again, all I can say is trust the Spirit. You'll know what to say when you need to say it. And don't trust your gut, even if you think you're doing it to help somebody.
All right. Well, that's what I needed to know. I mean, it's not that I didn't already know. It's just nice to have it reaffirmed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And a great point. Good stuff that needed talked about, I think. Because we put too much pressure on ourselves thinking we need to do this. We need to. And that's what my whole message has been about all summer and for a while now is we can't do anything. Stop it. That's all the enemy's trick. We need to stop. We can't do it. As long as we're thinking we need to, we're already on the wrong side. We got to realize the Spirit does it. We can't do anything. So stop doing anything. I've said it many times. The minute we stop trying is the minute we start succeeding because
And
we took our of it.
the other thing is, like if you would have asked me a year ago, it's been about a year, maybe a little more. But time becomes a blur. Let's just say a while back. If you asked me a while back, you know, I would have told you I'm awakened. I see the truth. I know what's real now. You can't, I can't believe I fell for this, and then you know I evolved over time. Like 6 months later, then all of a sudden, I can't believe how naive I was 6 months ago. And then 6 more months, 7 more months, a year, another year goes by. I can't believe what I believed was the truth last year. So it's just kind of weird how we slowly evolve.
Yeah, exactly. That's another great point, and one thing that I always remind myself and try to remind people every once in a while when I remember. But we got to remember we don't know anything. The minute you think you know something, you've already lost again. So stay open minded. I've learned so much and changed so much in my beliefs and my thoughts, and over the years, that's what spiritual growth's all about. We we can't know all the truth right away; it'd blow our minds.
Hey, wait.
So we grow gradually. So yeah, don't ever be dogmatic in anything. Be willing to change, but yeah, keep in mind you don't know nothing. That's the most important thing, at least for me. Constantly remind myself I don't know anything.
Well, we haven't heard from you in a while, Hebrew. Are you still there? I guess
Oh,
not.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
I'm wondering, can the audience hear us? I see Robin saying something about very silent. Hebrew armor up Sagittariusly. You okay? Where y'all shifted to? I see Robin saying something about. Oh,
I just jumped over to live stream and I hear us. That's
oh,
what that you just got. I think it's
okay.
just
Huh? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's just Robin. Everyone else hears us.
Oh no. Well, with all that being said, you know, this has got nothing to do with the subject. I'm going to jump subjects here, and then it'll be all I have to say for the rest of the night, probably. Let's see here. A while back, Euler Greg was saying something about his dad dropped something on his foot, and then he died. And I'm assuming, and I know I shouldn't assume things because I know what it does, but I'm assuming it's from a blood clot of some sort that may have went to his brain or something. Because that can happen sometimes. You could break your toe or break something in your foot, and it could form a blood clot. And I've certainly heard of that happening. And I was telling Sagittariusly speaking, I think the other day it was, we were sitting out there and we were talking about it. Have you ever heard the legend of Jack Daniels and how Jack Daniels died?
No, I don't think so.
As the legend goes, Jack Daniels got pissed off because they were coming up short on their whiskey barrels one day, or something wasn't going right, or something. The legend has it that he got pissed off and went down to the distillery one day and kicked one of the barrels. And when he kicked the barrel, he broke his toe. But I don't think at the time he realized he had broken his toe. And I think he died about 3 or 4 days later because of a blood clot that had gone to his heart. Or that's how the legend goes. And we were talking about that the other day, and I said, well, that can happen. And Sagittariusly automatically dismissed it and said, well, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen to you, or it's not necessarily means that actually happened. That could just be a legend. But I wanted to know if anyone else has ever heard of that.
Euler Greg said that is what happened. Blood clot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I mean,
it can happen. I think the other thing I told you is I think the odds of it happening to you on this particular toe injury are. I don't think that it's something that you need to lose any sleep over tonight or anything.
Well,
But it is kind of ironic that is what happened to somebody else. Now that we're talking about it, and you had just told that to me, and I am sorry, Euler Greg, that's how you said it was your grandpa or your father.
I believe he said it was his dad, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm not trying to make light of that, because that is sad that happened, and because most people that when they do something like that, the last thing they think is going to happen is that they're going to die in a few days because they hurt their toe. But I think that you're probably in the clear. It's been what now, like 5 days?
It's been about, no, it hadn't been quite 5 days. I did it Friday.
Okay.
No, but I am seeing the doctor tomorrow, so he can tell me whether or not if it's doing something weird. He can tell me. So I don't know. That's if you trust doctors. Now I'm just saying. We were just talking about how we can't necessarily trust doctors anymore.
So your actual doctor, I don't think he's Big Brother. I mean the whole larger system as a whole. But your actual doctor, I mean, you know your doctor better than anybody. I mean, do you like your doctor's a good doctor and that he takes time to listen and pays attention to you, or does he just sit there and stare at his clipboard and write you a prescription?
He doesn't stare at his clipboard, maybe the computer screen, but that's how they do things anymore is through computer screens. Sorry if I'm making a lot of noise with my shoe, but I'm trying to fix this shoe up. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on the whole doctor thing. What do you guys think about doctors?
I think it's a case by case basis. I mean, you have to feel good or comfortable about. If you don't feel like your doctor's really, you know, really gives a hoot, then you might want to see a different doctor. I mean, I've had good doctors in my life, and I've had bad doctors. So I think they're just like anybody else.
Hmm. I am seeing spots like where there's. Oh, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as doctors, you guys already know what I think. But I think doctors have their purpose. If I need a stitch, if I need a broken bone set, I think that's a good job for a doctor. But if I think a doctor can tell me something's going to happen just because statistically it's happened before, well, then that sort of shows my lack in the faith in the Father, because I believe, and I've said it before, I believe if I'm doing the Father's will, it don't matter what happens. Nothing's going to take me out till I'm done doing what he wanted me to do. It don't matter if it's a broken toe or a blood clot or a heart attack or cancer or a wreck, whatever. If I'm doing the will of the Father, then I believe I'm going to be able to do whatever he wants me to do as long as I need to do it. Nothing can take me out, no matter what a doctor says. So personally, I got to go to the doctor once or twice a year for the VA just so I can keep my benefits. And after a while, we've come to a decent understanding. He knows I ain't going to take nothing unless it's 100% natural. And that's basically it. They know that I believe what I believe. They know I don't pull no punches with my doctor or anybody else. You know, they know what I think. They know what I believe. And actually, they don't argue too much. In fact, the nurse says I make her day every time I come in. She wished I'd come in more often. I said, that ain't going to happen.
Well, maybe you should tell her to listen to our podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically, I ain't saying all doctors are bad. I'm just saying I trust the big doctor over any other doctor. I ain't worried about anything. It's all a matter of, again, believe what you read or don't believe it. That's what it boils down to. Believe the Father's going to take care of you or don't. It's that simple. And I'm not saying don't go to a doctor. I'm just saying, why? Jesus is the ultimate physician. Just saying.
True.
Well, with that being said, I haven't really been to a real doctor in probably 3 years, and I don't have any intentions of going unless only way next time I'm going to probably see a doctor is if I get taken there in an ambulance because they came and got me.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, yeah. I understand you.
And Euler Greg brings up a good point. He said, God expects us to take care of ourselves. To rely on him alone is akin to blasphemy. Wow.
Hmm.
I don't know. Jesus told us to rely on him alone. So I don't know if I could agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of truth in what you just said as well.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to intentionally do stupid things, but I'm just saying if I can't rely on Jesus alone, that sort of goes against the whole gospel. We're supposed to rely on him alone for our salvation, for our forgiveness.
No, but I mean, one could make the argument that the doctor is there for you because Jesus wanted that doctor to be able to help you when you needed some medical attention. So, I mean, I get both sides of the argument.
Yeah, I see what he's saying, and that's what I said. I do take uh, pills for my cholesterol because me and the doctor came to an agreement and came up with a natural pill. You know what I mean? They tried to give me the statins and all these man-made pills, and I was like, no. And finally, we came to an understanding, and now I take niacin, which was 100% mineral. It's all natural. It ain't man-made, and my cholesterol is under control. So I'm not saying don't go to a doctor or listen to a doctor. Just discern. You know what I mean? I could have took the statins. But no, I'm not going to take the statins because the statins affect you. You know what I mean? So me and the doctor figured out a way around it, a natural cure, because there's natural cures out there. That's all I'm saying. Don't trust the doctor over the Father. That's all I'm saying. If the doctor says you're going to die in 2 weeks, why buy into that? Why let him put an expiration date on your life? The only one that knows when you're going to die is the Father. Period. I don't care if statistics show people that had this die in 2 weeks or not. Father loves blowing statistics out of the water. That's what I'm saying. Don't let the doctor set your mindset. That's all I'm saying. Don't take man's word over anything. Trust the Father. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't go to doctors. I'm not saying don't listen to them. I go to the doctor. I take pills for my cholesterol. But if I go to next week or whenever, I don't even know when my next appointment is. But if I go and he says all of a sudden, oh, you've got cancer, I'll say, okay, no biggie. He'll say, are you going to do this and this? And I'll be like, no, because I ain't going to do their treatment. Period. I'll trust the Father. But I know other people, friends of mine going through cancer, that's doing the treatments, and I pray for them. I'm not saying don't do the treatments. We are all our own people. We all have different levels of faith. That's all I'm saying. Father, don't hate it if you go to a doctor, but don't let that doctor tell you you're going to die and believe it. Because why would you believe it? You don't know. Just going by statistics.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Everything that you just said, and I also agree that there was a reading. I don't know if I read this somewhere in the Bible or if I just heard it from somebody's mouth or whatever it was. There was something that said, put your trust in God, and in God's hands will you heal, but also seek a physician if there's something goes wrong with you. God also wants us to, or not God, but yeah, maybe it said somewhere where God wants us to also help ourselves by seeking physicians' help or something like that. And it had something to do with some dude that had boils all over his feet or something like that.
I don't know. You lost me on that one. But I do want to address Data Junkie says Luke was a doctor, so Jesus obviously wasn't against physicians. Luke never met Jesus. Jesus never met Luke. So I could jump to that conclusion.
Okay. Well, I do want to close things
Luke
out.
was Paul's physician. He had nothing to do with Jesus. He was Paul's physician.
Ah. I do want to close things out. Before I close things out, though, and I'll do this, and then I'll let you guys go ahead and give your final words. We'll go ahead and take the phone lines down since there we go. And but I do want to show you guys this shoe. I got a special shoe here. This is the shoe I'm wearing for my broken toe. But what I wanted to show you was the pin that my wife put on there. Can you guys see that? You guys seeing that all right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Skeletor. But she put that on there and wanted to make me feel better. So she put a Skeletor pin on there. I really wish, what I wish is I wish on the other side here I had a He-Man pin on there. You know, that would make more sense if I had a He-Man pin on there, but you know, you get what you take. I'd like to have the yin and the yang, you know. Okay, I'll shut up now and let you guys go ahead and close out the show however you want to close it.
Well, I'll just say as a final thought, and then we'll let Saji go, is, again, I'm not saying don't go to doctors. I'm saying do what you feel led to do, what you think's best for you. We're all at different levels. We all have different amounts of faith. Luckily, I'm blessed with lots. I trust the Father to take care of me. But that's only because he's given me that faith. I'm not special. I still go to the doctor. I still listen when he tells me my cholesterol is a little high. I'm not saying any of that. But just put your ultimate trust in the Father, not man. If the doctor says you got this bad thing, then take it to the Father. It don't necessarily mean what happened to 90% of the other people that got it is going to happen to you. That's all I'm saying. Don't buy into the statistics, because that's all it is. It's just a bunch of numbers, a bunch of statistics, a bunch of probably gone tos. But that don't mean definitely going to. So don't let what someone says affect your mind thoughts, because our thoughts are very important. Right back full circle to that. If you think you're going to die because the doctor told you you're going to die, then in my opinion, chances are you've just knocked your chances of survivor down big time, because now you put your faith in what a man said instead of what the Father tells you. So just trust the Father above everything else. Go to the doctors. Do whatever you feel you need to do. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. You ask what my opinion was on doctors. So I give you my opinion on doctors and how I treat doctors. I'm not telling anybody to do anything about doctors. I know lots of people that take medicines. Unfortunately, I'm watching them die in front of me because I can't get them to talk right and think right. I just had a big blow up with one of my best friends. We've been friends for over 30 years. The one whose wife I've been asking you to pray for, who's battling throat cancer, because he's constantly saying the cancer is going to come back, and I just couldn't take it anymore one day. And I said, dude, stop it. You don't understand that you're killing her with what you're saying. And it wasn't good. I mean, I told my best friend he's killing his wife because of what he's saying, because I believe it. You see what I'm saying? They're non-believers. I mean, they know what I believe, but they're non-believers. And I just flat out told him 2 weeks ago that you got to stop it. And he says, oh, you mean you're telling me if I say she's going to be fine, she's going to be fine? I say, if you believe it and say it, I believe there's a way better chance she's going to be fine. But as long as you're sitting here telling her cancer's coming back, you are killing her. You don't understand how important words are, especially to our loved ones. especially if you're the man of the household. We don't understand how important we are as men of the household. If I'm sitting there telling my wife she's going to get sick and die, I'd almost guarantee you she's going to get sick and die, because we don't understand the authority we have. We don't understand the power of our words. Whether you're a believer or not, your words are power. Stop it. Stop cursing everyone, especially your loved ones. I mean, I'm thankful I'm not in this situation, but if this was my wife going through it, I would be constantly saying, you're going to be fine. I don't care what the doctor says. I don't believe any of that. I know you're going to. Why would I speak death to my dying wife instead of speaking life? We don't understand. We got to understand how important and powerful we are. We're just going to keep letting the enemy use us to do his work. And my buddy didn't talk to me for 2 weeks, and I talked to him yesterday, and nothing came up about it. But the whole time I was there, not once did he say to his wife, your cancer is going to come back. So I don't know if he stopped saying it all the time or just stopped saying it around me. But either way, at least he ain't saying it all the time. Because I firmly believe he has the power to save or kill his wife. I firmly believe that. Other than the fact that it may be her time to go. He can't thwart the Father's will. But I know if he keeps saying she's going to die, she's going to die. And it pisses me off because I love them both a lot. And I've been friends with them a long time. And I just couldn't take it anymore that day and told him, stop it. Stop killing her. And that's what we all need to do. Realize everything you say to everybody is important. So constantly speak in love and understanding and camaraderie and lifting each other up. And stop speaking all this stupid death, whether we realize we're speaking it or not. Stop it. Because you're going to kill people. That's my final thought.
Well, that was very well spoken, and I could hear the passion in your voice, sir. So I will definitely take those words to heart. And I guess my final thought is just, it kind of relates back to almost everything that we've been talking about from the beginning of the show. I mean, even going back to that stupid movie, which seems trivial now after the stuff that he just said, but don't let the powers that be encouraging something bad to happen. I think that in a way that's in the sense is if something does happen, that's why it's going to happen. And don't be afraid to go out there, live life, love the ones that you're closest to, and just be encouraging instead of discouraging. So I don't know. It's kind of getting late. I'm kind of getting a little um, I'm kind of like losing my main focus, but I just want everybody to know that I think that words. I agree with Armor that words do have a lot of power. I think intentions have a lot of power, and I think that just consciously believing something goes a long way towards actual manifestation of that something. So whatever you want to you want to focus your consciousness on positive outlook and positive um, becomings, so that you get those positive repercussions. And that's really all I got to say.
Wow, dude. Oh, phew. I don't know how to follow up what Armor said. I'm not even gonna try, man. That's just that was an amazing thing you just said, man. The power of words. There's a lot of power behind words, man. I know you did I don't want to say a sermon, but like a video on the power of words not too long ago, and you're absolutely right, man. And I'll tell you what, that almost had me all choked up, man. I'm not even joking. I'm not even, I joke a lot, but man, that's just some powerful stuff, dude. Anyway, I say we go out on a positive note, and I'd like to to thank everybody for stopping by and watching the show. And like I said, we will see you all. We may or may not do a show tomorrow morning. Me and Sagittariusly Speaking do our morning cup on Monday. I said may or may not. Notice I threw that in there. But definitely check out Armor Up on Wednesday. That's his Wednesday word. And what time is that, Armor Up?
It's been going at 9, but I might bump it up to 8 because, man, I've been having a hard time staying awake because Wednesday's like a long day. Tuesday, Wednesday, I normally do like 30 some hours work Tuesday and Wednesday. So I've been having trouble staying up till the end of it. So I may start bumping it up to 8 p.m. Eastern. Or I may keep it at 9. I don't know yet, but normally it's at 9 Eastern.
It seems like on average it usually goes just a little bit over an hour too, right?
Yeah, I keep them right around an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, but I try to keep them right around an hour.
He's got that. And so stay tuned for that. That's on Wednesdays. And I have my show Thursdays. That's 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. Eastern time. I might bump that one up too, but I tried to dig that one in before certain people go to work on that night and stuff. So I don't know. I may bump it up. But anyway.
If we don't do our morning coffee talk tomorrow, not saying we won't, because we just might. I think we're going to keep trying to do our Taco Tuesday as well. So if you don't catch one, maybe we'll catch the other.
That sounds good. We got some good views on Taco Tuesday. Seems like we might just go ahead and do that one.
I'm fine with that.
But we'll see. I don't know. And of course, tomorrow night is Mandela Monday. Don't forget to tune in for that on Dan's show, Scare Performance channel. So anyway, until next time, for everyone here at the Hebrew channel, this has been Hebrew 77 along with Armor Up and Sagittariusly Speaking, of course, saying good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
S is for the S's that have disappeared. H is for Haas, it's changed, my dear. I is for incredible, lots of changes to our edibles. F is freaky cause Mandela effects are all the buzz. And T is for time that's running fast. Y is for your memories, hope they last. If it's not a fun day, won't you join me Shifty Sunday? Shifty Sunday for Emmys. Shifty Sunday, if you please.